Hi everyone, welcome to your January 2023 horoscope. My name is Cailin and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead, and I'll be using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. So this is a Western astrology reading, and you can watch this for your ascendant, sun and moon sign horoscopes. I would recommend that you do watch all three just to give you a really well-rounded idea of what you can expect for the month ahead. Before I get into the horoscopes, I just wanted to let you know that my 2023 yearly horoscopes are available for purchase. So you can purchase yours using the link in the description box below. And I've actually got a flash promotion or flash sale running for 25% off, and that will be running until the 3rd of January. So before I get into your horoscopes individually, I am just going to give you a bit of a brief overview of what you can expect for January. There's a lot going on in January, guys, and the most impactful transits will be the combination of Mars being retrograde in Gemini plus Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn. So Mars will be retrograde until the 12th of January, and Mercury will be retrograde in Capricorn from the 29th of December until the 18th of January. So that means that we do have this nearly 2-week overlap period where a lot of stuff is going to be going on. In addition to those transits, I am going to be looking at Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, which will occur on the 1st of January, as well as the full moon in Cancer on the 6th of January and the new moon in Aquarius on the 1st of January. So I will be including timestamps after this video goes live. In terms of the overall energy of those transits, just before I get into Aries, well, first of all, with Venus being conjunct Pluto in Capricorn on the 1st of January, there's really this focus on our relationships with other people. Okay, Venus represents our relationships. It represents relationships of all kinds, whether these are romantic, platonic, or just, business relationships, friendships, etc. And Pluto is all about intimacy, and it also rules over things like fears, addictions, insecurities, and secrets. So in terms of a positive manifestation for this Venus-Pluto conjunction on the 1st of January, there can be deep, powerful connections between you and a romantic partner. You can reach a whole new level of intimacy, which is new for either yourself or for the other person or for the both of you. Deep healing can occur within a relationship, whether this is romantic or not. And, you can overcome some kind of, let's say, some sort of trauma within that connection, or some sort of impasse when it comes to being able to be vulnerable and intimate with the other person. So this really is a powerful time, which again is the 1st of January, but we're really looking at the first few days of January for this energy to occur. Venus rules over divine feminine energy as well as our relationships with women. So this could be any female in your life, and it also rules over our romantic relationships too, as I've mentioned. So there can be healing that takes place within these relationships, healing that takes place with an important female in your life. And because this conjunction is occurring at 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree, this can indicate having a conversation that is powerful or healing or even psychic to an extent. And this is a time where powerful conversations can take place which actually change your life. So this can also indicate uncovering an important truth in a relationship, whether this is you feeling like you can open up to another person or vice versa. And certainly you can have profound breakthroughs concerning career or life purpose. Even if we remove this from, let's say, relationship territory, Venus represents our values and our self-worth. So this can see you having a breakthrough when it comes to knowing what your inherent value is and what you want to do in a career sense or in a professional sense, as we are looking at the energy of Capricorn here. Now, on the negative side of things, I should say, this can indicate that emotional manipulation could be occurring within one or more of your relationships at this time. Now, it could be that someone is trying to emotionally manipulate you, or it could be you doing this, whether this is consciously or unconsciously. So I would encourage you to really think about your actions and your behavior within certain relationships around this period of time. Power dynamics and control within relationships of all kinds could be at the forefront of your mind. And also, you could be feeling controlled by your boss or by an authority figure. And on a different note, you could just feel as though there's a lot of pressure on you, which you may be experiencing as controlling behavior when it comes to pursuing a certain path in life, or let's say a trajectory for your career or life purpose. And worst case scenario with respect to relationships is that you could discover some kind of lie that has been told to you in one or more of your relationships. But this is the general energy, guys. So in terms of Mars being retrograde and Mercury being retrograde, let me just say, Mars being retrograde in Gemini has equated to aggressive overthinking. This is what I've been calling it for the last, 8 weeks. So basically, Mars being retrograde can indicate that there are arguments that have been occurring or discord with siblings, relatives, neighbors, friends, and co-workers or clients. For some of you, it could just be one or two of those individuals. For others of you, it could be several, if not all. And essentially, tensions can be running high within these relationships, even if you are, not having an outright argument or disagreement with another person. And for others of you, you could be experiencing this transit as let's say pressing deadlines, lots of projects going on, or pressure to close certain deals or pressure to finish off, let's say, writing pieces or communications pieces. And for many of you, this will have been experienced as technological breakdowns, whether this is like your laptop not working, you could have, broken your phone. I myself spilt water all over my laptop and my hard drive, just randomly stopped working. It's okay now, but I need to sort that all out. So there could be a lot of things that you need to sort out from a technological point of view or with respect to your devices. Same can be said for vehicle breakdowns, whether this is a car, a boat, or I tapped the mic, or any kind of vehicle. And also accidents on the road could have been something that you experienced, hopefully not, touch wood. And with Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn from the 29th of December, which is today, by the way. So, here I am choosing to start filming on the day Mercury goes retrograde. It's not advisable, but, astrologers don't always take their own advice. Nevertheless, this can see a lot of you rethinking your career, rethinking your vocation. I don't mind a Mercury retrograde from the point of view that it brings a lot of clarity, especially if there's been a lot of confusion, and no doubt that there has been confusion for pretty much everyone over the last few weeks, and certainly over the last 2 weeks in particular, where we had the full moon in Gemini. So some of you may be returning to a former line of work or a former workplace. You could be getting another callback for an interview. There could be former co-workers or, let's say, workplaces reaching out to you. So you could just be in contact with people that you used to work with. If you are in a company or if you work for an organization where it's quite traditional and there's some kind of hierarchy that exists and, people at the top. Obviously lots of companies and organizations are like this, but if it's something that's really structured, especially if this is like a long-standing organization or you work in government, there could be some kind of restructuring of your workplace, which is occurring at this time. Regardless of where you work, I would keep an eye out for changes of management, especially at let's say the top, whether this is top executives and leaders, CEOs, directors, etc. Again, this retrograde period is from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January. And even if these changes are not necessarily taking place within this period of time, you could be made aware of them during this period of time. So the announcements could be taking place then. On a personal level, you may be reconnecting with your father or a father figure or whoever was sort of like the main, I want to say authoritarian figure in your family. And you could have a very clarifying conversation with this individual or with these individuals as well. In terms of the combined energy of Mercury and Mars both being retrograde, I mean, it's going to be a lot. If you thought Mars retrograde in Gemini was a lot to handle, you know, this is just going to compound that and amplify it times 10. And that is because Mars is retrograde in Gemini and Mercury rules over Gemini. So the ruler of Gemini also being retrograde, it really feeds into this energy. Initially, when I was looking at the combination of these two retrogrades, as a Gemini rising myself, I was like, oh my God. But I actually think that this is going to bring through a lot of clarification. So I'm not scared of it, and you should not be either. Okay, you should never be scared of any transit at all. You still have free will in your life, no matter what. And essentially, all of this aggressive overthinking that has taken place since the end of October and especially in December can be put to rest by the time we get to mid-January. And certainly, I do think that a lot of you are going to be having powerful realizations and epiphanies and sudden downloads of information about how to move forward. Okay, there's been a lot of confusion with Mars retrograde squaring Neptune, which we had in November, and we are still under that effect anyway. And now it's like, okay, I've thought about this for long enough. It's confusing. Maybe there are some difficult decisions that need to be taken or difficult action that you need to take. And with Mercury being retrograde at the same time as Mars retrograde, you will know how to move forward with this. Now, a work situation could be reaching boiling point within the first, I want to say 12 days, or if not the first 2 weeks of January. Whether or not you are involved, there may be some in-house fighting within your workplace. So I would, encourage you not to get dragged into the drama if you can avoid it. And I mean, that's if you don't want to be involved in it, of course. Having said all this, long-standing issues can be resolved, and big decisions that have been in the pipeline at your workplace may finally be announced or finally be made public. And conclusions are definitely within reach. So I just want to tell you guys that whatever you have been going through over the last few weeks, whatever situation you may have been very confused about, you will be getting a lot of clarity about this within the first couple weeks of January. So on the 6th of January, just backtracking to the full moon in Cancer, the full moon in Cancer, first of all, will take place at 16 degrees, which is the Cancerian degree. Okay, so 16 degrees is the Cancer degree, which means that the themes of Cancer are extremely highlighted and amplified. You will be, or we will be, in the energy of the full moon in Cancer from 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, which means that as I'm recording this now on the 29th of December, you could still be experiencing these themes. So first of all, emotions will certainly be running high for everyone, and there can be a huge focus on the following, let's say, areas of life. So family, property, and living circumstances, whether this is stuff that you're doing around your own home, plans that you have for your home, whether you're looking at buying, selling, renting, or looking at a rental property that you currently own. Anything connected to property and living circumstances will be highlighted around the 6th of January, plus or minus 2 weeks. There can be a big focus on your family, whether this is your immediate family, whether this is the family that you live with, whether this is you thinking about raising a family or how you want to raise your family that you already have. So I guess what I'm saying here is, if you already have children, there can be a very big focus on your children and how you want to raise them. If you don't, you may be looking at family planning. This just occurred to me now, and I hadn't actually written this in my notes. And whenever this happens, I know that it's like extra intuitive information, but this is definitely a time where people can be starting a family and falling pregnant. So if that is something that has been on your mind or something that you want to pursue, now's the time. And on a different note, if you have children that you've been estranged from, or where there's just been a lack of connection there, this can see you reconnecting with your child, especially because this full moon will be opposite Mercury, which is retrograde at 17 degrees Capricorn. So just 1 degree away from, let's say, the sun in Capricorn. So Mercury, or the energy of Mercury, is definitely featuring very heavily within this full moon in Cancer, which means that there's lots of conversation, or at the very least, there's lots of thinking about family, lineage, your emotions, your childhood, your upbringing, and also your romantic connection with another person when it comes to should you be living together. Whether this is wanting to move in together, wanting to go your separate ways, wanting to start a family, are you on the same page about how you want to raise a family? And you could be very, very emotional about these topics, or deeply moved by conversations that you have regarding these topics or with family members. Now, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees. And with this new moon, because it's at 1 degrees, which is the Aries degree, this is about trying something new and breaking the mold. And Aquarius already has that energy anyway. So this new moon will be very exciting when it comes to your long-term goals, dreams, new inventions or innovations, or ideas for inventions and innovations that you have. This really does highlight friendships, and also groups and communities, as well as humanitarian causes. And because this is occurring at the Aries degree, and Aquarius, is connected to rebellion and shocking information and just, speaking a truth, there could be a development that occurs within a friendship or within a group or a community where it's like, someone wants to break the mold, break free from that group or community, or try something different. If you are already involved in some kind of community or group, whether you take action together, whether this is to do with social justice issues, there may be something progressive that comes through in terms of an ideological belief, or some kind of cause that you want to champion. If this is just connected to your existing friendship group, just be mindful that there may be, I want to say severing of ties that takes place, because we are going to have Venus and Saturn conjunct in Aquarius at the same time. So Venus will be at 23 degrees and Saturn will be at 24 degrees. Wait, let me just double check that I didn't get that the wrong way around. What did I say? Yeah, no, that was right. Okay, so Venus at 23 degrees and Saturn at 24 degrees. Okay, so Saturn is the ruler of this new moon, because Saturn rules over Aquarius. And again, Venus is all about relationships. So for some of you, this could indicate a separation that takes place within an existing friendship or a long-standing friendship, or the same could be said for a community or a group. But for others of you, this could be entering into a new level of commitment, and maybe this will be a long-standing commitment or a long-standing collaboration with another person. Now, this new moon will be making a square to Uranus in Taurus, so that will be at 14 degrees. So Uranus is at 14 degrees. Now, obviously the new moon's at 1 degrees, and 14 degrees is quite a wide orb, but because it's sort of in the middle of the new moon and Venus and Saturn, it still plays a big role here. So I get a sense of urgency that comes through with this new moon, or something like comes out of the blue, whether this is like a shocking decision, shocking information, or just a new opportunity. It doesn't need to be negative. I don't see shocking as negative, but it just depends on your perception of change and how resistant you are or how open you are to new experiences. That being said, this is a powerful new moon because we do have the ruler of the new moon being Saturn in the same sign as the new moon. Now, this new moon will be making a trine to Mars in Gemini. Okay, so Mars will be in Gemini at 8 degrees. I love this. This indicates that Mars is going to help you to take courageous action towards your long-term goals and dreams, or with respect to asserting your values with Venus in Aquarius when it comes to these relationships or this group or community that you are part of. Now, I'm not going to go into this for the individual horoscopes, but I do just want to mention that Venus will be in Pisces from the 27th of January through till the 20th of February. All right, so this is amazing news. It happens every year, and the reason why it's good news is because Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, which means it loves to be in Pisces. So this is a very positive period of time, which is 3 weeks, a bit over 3 weeks, for relationships, romantic connections, healing, spiritual development, as well as charity and generosity, whether this is you receiving it if you need it, or you having extra that you can give to other people. And when I say extra, and I'm not saying extra what, I'm leaving it open-ended because this is like unconditional love. This is helping other people, healing other people. It can be anything. This is really about just unconditional love and just having a very gracious and forgiving energy, which is going to be much needed during this period of time. So this is good news for relationships, or at the very least healing when it comes to romantic connections or relationships of all kinds. And also this is a very inspirational period of time for anyone who is involved in the arts or in the music industry, or even if you just have a love of music or anything artistic, you can be feeling divinely inspired during this period of time. So without further ado, let's get into the individual horoscopes. I am going to start with Aries and be going all the way through to Pisces. Like I said before, timestamps will be included at the end. Just give me a moment. This tea is probably cold and probably well and truly overbrewed, I might add. And I'm back to chamomile. So once again, you can watch your horoscope for your ascendant, sun or moon sign. Just to quickly make the distinction for you, your ascendant sign is going to be the most accurate overall, generally speaking. Your sun sign horoscope is going to pertain more to your life goals, your career, and your creative self-expression. And if you are someone who is very goal-oriented and action-oriented, and career is really, really important to you, then you may actually resonate with your sun sign horoscope more than the average person. And with the moon sign horoscope, this will relate to your relationships of all kinds, family matters, property and living circumstances matters, your emotional needs and your emotional well-being. And, it's sort of the opposite of the sun sign in the sense that if you are someone who is very, very intuitive or deeply connected to your emotions, or if you work with, let's say, as a healer of some sort, then, the moon sign horoscope can resonate for you very, very strongly. And for me personally, I actually find that all three always hit me on some level. I always find information for in all three of my sun, moon, and rising horoscopes. And anyway, so let's get into Aries. So just give me a moment. Okay, so Aries, sun, moon, and risings. On the 1st of January, you guys are going to have Venus conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees in Capricorn in your 10th house. So this month, there will be a big focus for you on career, on your public reputation, on your status. And when I say status, I mean this is your public status of all kinds. I like to describe the 10th house as your irrefutable resume. Okay, so what I mean by that is someone is either employed or they're not employed. They're either married or not married, in a relationship or not in a relationship, a parent or not a parent. It's very definitive, black and white sort of status quo matters that we deal with the 10th house. So with Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house, you could be having some very, very powerful realizations when it comes to your value within the workplace, your values as a worker, or when it comes to the line of work that you do, your professional status, any leadership positions that you hold. And also the 10th house rules over being a parent. And this is more from the disciplinarian or authoritarian point of view. And the 10th house is also connected to leadership, okay? So, and life purpose. So there can be some really, really huge epiphanies that are occurring surrounding these topics. And, you know, even if you're not a parent or you're not working, whether this is because you've retired or you're not working for other reasons, this is still about the legacy that you want to leave behind, how you want to be known, how you want to show up in society, what your values are, and how you want to be promoting these to other people. So with Venus ruling over your 7th house, which is connected to your one-to-one personal relationships, there could be some sort of relationship status that is either made public, especially if this has been like on the down low or a secret even, or it could be that you are walking away from a connection with another person, and this could be romantic, this could be a friendship, or this could be to do with work, but it's like it's becoming public knowledge because, oh my gosh, my camera just turned off. I think, can you guys tell me if you can still see me? Please let me still be connected. If someone can just let me know in the chat. Can you guys still hear me? Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys. I just panicked. Panicking on camera during a Mercury retrograde. Thank you so much. Sorry, I think there was a bit of a delay with your messages coming through and me being able to see them. All right, so where was I? All right, so Venus being conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house can definitely affect the status of your relationships. And look, even if you're not making any hard and fast changes, this could be like a deep intuitive inner knowing about the future of certain relationships or the future of certain connections. And it could even be that you come across some very important knowledge in a public way, which changes how you feel about an alliance or a connection that you have with another person. So in terms of just recapping on the Mars retrograde in Gemini energy for you guys for the first 12 days of the month, Mars is your ruling planet and Mars is in the 3rd house. Okay, so there's still going to be a lot of restlessness that comes through. Tensions can be running high for you on a very personal level. Again, we can still see that aggressive overthinking coming through for you, as we start the month, and this will start to dissipate from the 12th of January onwards, and certainly, after January. And the reason why I'm giving it another 2-week window is because Mars is going to be in its post-shadow period after the retrograde is over. In fact, that'll last more than a couple of weeks, but it's like the intensity will be felt up until about the middle of the month, and then things can start to taper off. So with Mars being retrograde in the third house, tensions can still be running high within these relationships with siblings, with friends, with relatives, and with co-workers and clients. But the good news is that you can be having some kind of, you could be experiencing some sort of triumph or victory when it comes to a communications piece or a writing piece, or with finishing off an education course or receiving some kind of, let's say, qualification or diploma. So in terms of the Mercury retrograde, this is going to be taking place once again from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January. And with this being in the 10th house, again, this is all about you rethinking your career, positions of leadership that you hold. This can be you getting back in touch with former bosses or former colleagues as well. You may want to revisit a conversation that you had tried to have initially with a boss or with someone in management or with someone in a position of leadership or authority within your workplace. And if you need to iron out some kind of miscommunication, this is the perfect time to do so. If you want to speak to a boss or one of those people, let's say a manager, about how your working day is configured in terms of like meetings, planning, the systems that are employed in the workplace or the structure, you could have better luck during this Mercury retrograde period. One thing I will say is that your verbal communications and your written communications will be much more visible during this period of time. So just be careful that you are sending emails to the right person and that you are double checking all kinds of correspondences that you send, whether this is like just reading over them to make sure there are no typos, or before you jump down someone's throat for not getting back to you in an email, just check your spam folders, check your junk folders. You never know. The important conversation, or let's say correspondence that you are waiting on could have come through, and for some reason you may have just missed it. So I would just implore you not to jump the gun or have a knee-jerk reaction, whether this is verbally or in written form, before you check or double check that you have all of the facts. Okay, so in terms of the combination of Mars and Mercury, both being retrograde for this overlap period of the 29th of December through till the 12th of January, it's going to be very intense for you guys. So there can be lots of communications that are coming in. You may just feel like you're burning the candle at both ends. I would be very careful on the roads for you, specifically Aries, because Mars is your chart ruler. So whenever Mars is involved in a transit, this can indicate that you are being directly impacted. So just be careful whether you're literally driving a car or who you get into a car with as well, but also crossing the road. This is territory for just tripping and falling and injuring yourself. Not that I'm trying to laugh at that. It's just that you can do really dumb stuff just when you're walking about in everyday life. So just be really mindful of that for the first couple weeks of January. Now, on the 6th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees in your 4th house. So the 4th house is also associated with Cancerian energy. So we've got the full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees, which is the Cancerian degree, in the 4th house, which is Cancer's house. So your family situation, your living situation will absolutely be a focal point around the 6th of January, plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks, but certainly, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th of January, this is going to be all that you're thinking about or talking about, or at the very least, there will be some kind of pressing matter or situation which comes up, which just draws your attention there. Even if you're like, Cailin, why would I be thinking about this? Everything's fine in that department. I'm not saying it's not fine. I'm just saying that you're going to be thinking about it. You'll be emotionally connecting to the topics of family, the living situation, whether you want to buy, sell, renovate even as well. Or maybe this is going to be connected to a reversal in your living situation. So this could be you going back to live with someone that you used to live with before, or someone who's lived with you before coming to stay with you. For some of you, this could just straight up be a change of living circumstances, and you know, there could just be communications about it, especially because Mercury is retrograde and opposite the full moon. So it's like, do we want to live here? Do we want to live there? What should we do with our rental property? Should we be looking at moving interstate or overseas? Or what do we want to do with our house? It doesn't need to be a big deal, guys, but because it is in your 4th house, I do think you're going to feel it quite strongly. And for others of you, old conversations could be revisited, even if nothing comes of them. It could be like, oh, we're talking again about where we want to live, or we're talking again about, you know, how we should be raising our family or our children, or talking about family planning. It doesn't need to be like an eye roll thing. It could just be that, once again, you and your partner, or you and someone that you live with, or you and someone that you are family, that is family to you, is just having like this important conversation. And for others of you, it could just be like a powerful realization or an epiphany when it comes to your upbringing, when it comes to your childhood, when it comes to your relationship with your family, or with your mother, or with the primary caregiver. And even if you had a quote unquote non-traditional upbringing, it could just be you having an epiphany or feeling quite emotional about that, whether you were raised in an orphanage or whether you went to boarding school. You know, these things will be coming up for you during this period of time. And bottom line is that there's a big focus on your emotional security, or lack thereof. Okay, emotional security versus emotional insecurity. What makes you feel grounded? What makes you feel secure? If you are not feeling grounded, or if you are not feeling insecure, why is that, and how do we improve that? That's the bottom line. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees in your 11th house. So this does tie in your chart ruler directly, because the new moon is going to be trine Mars in Gemini in your 3rd house. So new moons indicate a new chapter starting, or a new beginning starting. And even though this is around the 21st or the 22nd of January, we are looking at plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks, but certainly around the 21st and the 22nd, you could be really thinking about starting or working on, I should say, a new long-term goal, or a new long-term dream of yours. Even if you are not necessarily planting the seeds during this time, it could be like the kernel of an idea. So this could also be connected to planning a webinar or a conference, or having an idea for a new innovation or invention. This could be you forming a new group or a new community, starting a new friendship, or it could be that you are invited to join some new group or new community. And also the 11th house is connected to passive forms of income or residual income. So with this new moon being at 1 degrees Aquarius, and with Venus being conjunct Saturn at 23 and 24 degrees Aquarius, for some of you, it's like you're entering into this, let's say, long spanning chapter, okay, something that could last a couple of years, because we do have the Venus Saturn conjunction like the next day. Okay, so this is a new cycle starting, or maybe like we can say a year and a half. But for others of you, if you're not working on this new long-term goal or dream, or having this idea which would maybe take you that period of time to execute, it could be that you are going through some kind of separation process, or you're looking at distancing yourself from a group or from a community, or from a friendship. And you know, this could take you quite a while to be able to pull off. Or for others of you, it could be that there is a separation for one reason or another, or you could just be entering into a collaboration with another person, or someone could be investing in you, and it could take a lot of effort, work, time, you know, just labor, or just hours, we can say, to pull it off. And by hours, I mean, you know, a lot of a lot of manpower. Okay, lost my train of thought there at the end, guys, but that's for Aries. And Aries, if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. And now I'm going to move on to Taurus. Okay, so this is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and risings. And Taurus, there is a lot happening for us. And I say us because I am a Taurus sun. So starting the month off with a bang on the 1st of January, we will have Venus conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees in Capricorn in the 9th house. Okay, because Venus is our chart ruler, anytime Venus is involved in a transit or in a new moon or a full moon, this does have a direct impact on Taurians, and especially Taurus risings, more so than Taurus suns and moons. Nevertheless, you will be feeling this one. So Venus conjunct Pluto in your 9th house can indicate you having extremely powerful realizations when it comes to your belief systems, when it comes to education, religion, spirituality, and also the 9th house rules over your vision for your future. Just blanket statement, whatever you are picturing for your future, the vision that you have, what you want to manifest, this is all 9th house territory. And with Venus being your chart ruler, as well as your 6th house ruler, this could be to do with your personal goals, your life path, or perhaps your health or your work or your daily habits and routines. Now, Pluto rules over your 7th house, which represents your one-to-one personal connections and relationships, whether this is your significant other, marriage partner, this could be with a friend, a client, someone who you have a one-to-one personal relationship with. So with combining the meaning of the 9th house, which is your vision for your future, with your 1st house, which is you, and your 7th house, which is another person, this can really just translate to you having a deep realization about the future potential, okay, of an existing relationship. Whether this is existing or old, you're looking at the future potential of relationships, and it doesn't just need to be one relationship. You could be assessing multiple relationships. Venus rules over love, relationships, as well as your values. So this is like, what do I even value in a relationship? And for others of you, you could be considering your personal values when it comes to your own code of ethics within the context of these relationships. So it could be like, I'm in a client relationship with this person, and I'm now reassessing whether my values align with their values, finances aside. And for others of you, there could be a powerful learning experience, because the 9th house rules over education, which comes through a one-to-one connection. So either someone could be imparting important knowledge or information on you, or vice versa. Because this is occurring at 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree, this does indicate that some sort of important communication or correspondence will be had or will be coming through. And again, it could be you initiating it, it could be the other person initiating it. Pluto rules over intimacy, Pluto rules over deep and powerful connections with other people, soul connections, past life, karmic connections. So there could be some sort of realization which takes place about your intimacy with another person, how vulnerable you are with them. But also the shadow side of Pluto is emotional manipulation, obsession, fixation. It's also connected to control and domination and power. So this is like, am I being controlled by this relationship that I am in? Is this person exerting an undue level of power and control over me? And how is this impacting my future? Has this relationship been controlling how I view my future, or me and my understanding for my full potential for my future? So obviously that's a lot. just know that this can play out on a very psychological level. And, this is also trining you. Okay, so Venus conjunct Pluto in the ninth house is trining you as a Taurus. So something beautiful and something positive will come out of the first few days of January. Regardless of how it comes about, just know that, this will serve your best and highest good. And for others of you, this can just be you realizing that you may have been lying to yourself about certain relationships or certain connections and the potential that they hold for you in your life. So now let's have a look at Mars being retrograde in Gemini in your second house. Okay, so Mars will be retrograde until the 12th of January. I'm not going to recap this too much, just, in the interests of time. And obviously I've spoken about this in my December horoscopes and my November horoscopes. But ultimately, there's a lot going on with respect to your finances and your valuables and your possessions. So Mars being retrograde here could be like the reorganization of finances and your valuables and your possessions. It could be that you want to sell certain things off or reorganize them. The second house is connected to your values and your self-esteem. So this could be you, really, again, I want to use the term aggressively overthinking these things. What do I need to do with my finances? What do I want to do with my valuables and my possessions? This can see you reconsidering ways in which you may have been taking action in pursuit of attaining more finances, and increasing your finances. This can see you reconsidering where you may have been overly materialistic or superficial. And no shade, I'm a Taurus. We all like luxury over here in the Taurus camp. So with Mercury being retrograde in your ninth house, first of all, Mercury will be retrograde from 24 degrees back to 13 degrees. So Taurians between 13 and 24 degrees are going to feel it more strongly than the other Taurians, but you'll still feel it anyway. So in a nutshell, this can see you rethinking and reconsidering education, teaching, whether this is you being enrolled in certain educational courses or university or college, or your role as a teacher. This can see you going back to study or changing your units or deferring them. Even if you don't make those decisions during the Mercury retrograde period, which will end on the 18th of January, this can see you just thinking intensely about them and having a powerful realization about what you want to do from an educational point of view. The ninth house is also connected to travel. Okay, so you could be traveling back to a place that you have visited before. If you have purchased tickets to, let's say, fly either to another country or even interstate, there may be some changes here, whether this is you just needing to change the dates, a flight being delayed or actually brought forward. Be very, very careful not to miss flights during this period of time. That is a high level warning, okay, because that is definitely a potential during this period of time. On a different note, the ninth house is connected to your belief systems of all kinds, and with Mercury ruling over your second house, which is connected to your values, this can see you kind of deprogramming yourself from certain entrenched values or beliefs that you were raised with, whether these are connected to how you should live your life, whether these are connected to who you should be dating, with Mercury ruling over your fifth house, or children, again, with Mercury ruling over your fifth house, or just in general. This could be about political beliefs, religious beliefs, and spiritual beliefs. So there is some sort of intense focus on your belief systems, just with that Venus-Pluto conjunction at the beginning of the month, plus Mercury being retrograde while that takes place. So in terms of the combination of having Mars and Mercury retrograde at the same time, we're really focusing on that second house and that ninth house for you. So translation, you're looking at your financial future. You're looking at your possessions and your material values and your material security as well. And also there's this big underlying theme where it's like, am I adhering to my own set of personal values? What am I doing for my self-esteem? And how can I elevate that? How can I honor my own personal values, especially when it comes to being paid what I'm worth or charging what I'm worth if you own your own business, and also setting yourself up so that you have financial independence. I'd say that that is one of the biggest core themes that Taurians will be focusing on for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the month, if not the whole of January. And there can also be a focus on money that you're spending on education, money that you're spending on travel, and also the legal system as well. So there may be some legal matters that you are either revisiting or that you will be evaluating or reconsidering. That doesn't mean that anything needs to start with respect to court cases or legal matters. It could just be that certain laws could be, let's say, an area of focus for you, and you may just, for some reason, need to have a deeper knowledge of the court system or legal systems. So in terms of the full moon in Cancer, on the 6th of January at 16 degrees, this is taking place in your 3rd house. So with this occurring in your 3rd house, this can see you completing some kind of communications piece, whether this is verbal or written. For others of you, it could be a contract that is being fulfilled or that is being exited. This could be in relation to your living arrangements because it is in Cancer. This could be to do with rent, buying, selling, or just like where you live, breaking lease, or just like correspondence with your tenants if you have tenants. And for others of you, you may be wanting to intellectualize your emotions. That doesn't mean you won't be feeling them. You certainly will be, because this full moon in Cancer is just so Cancerish. And for others of you, you could just be having an important conversation with family, or an important conversation about your emotions or about your feelings. And you could reach an important conclusion, let's say a mental or cerebral conclusion with respect to a family matter, a property and living circumstances matter, or something that is connected to your emotional health and well-being. Some of you could just be finishing off a course, receiving a diploma or a qualification or an apprenticeship, and you could be taking an important test or an exam. Look, I don't mind a full moon in the 3rd house because it can bring a lot of mental clarity surrounding complicated emotional issues. So again, that's on the 6th of January, but this energy may be felt right now for you as we are so close to this full moon in Cancer. And I would say plus or minus 1 to 2 weeks from the 6th of January. Now, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Cancer at 1 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 10th house. So new moons indicate a new beginning or a new chapter taking place, and with this occurring in your 10th house, for many of you Taurians, this could indicate a new job, a new title, a new career opportunity, a new position of leadership within your career. And for others of you, you could be deciding to walk away from a job. You could be deciding to lesser your responsibilities. You could be deciding to retire, or to just have like a sabbatical or a break from the workforce altogether. Now, this does pertain to statuses within relationships. And the reason I'm saying that is because this new moon in Aquarius is at 1 degrees, but then we've got your ruling planet, which is Venus, being conjunct Saturn at 23 and 24 degrees respectively, and the exact conjunction will take place the next day. So this does activate that 1st and 7th house axes for you, and also the new moon is trine Mars in Gemini, and Mars rules over your 7th house. So again, we're tying in that 1st and 7th house axes. So for some Taurians, this is operating on a professional status, on a workplace front. And for some of you, you could actually just be having a new boss come on board, or a new manager or supervisor. But then again, we've got this focus on relationships. So you could be entering into a more solid and committed relationship. Your existing relationship could be taken to a higher level of commitment, whether this is going from casual to becoming exclusive, whether this is going from, already being exclusive to deciding that you want to live together or get engaged, or, you know, whatever an additional level of commitment means for you, you know, take it as it resonates. And on the other side of the coin, because Saturn represents separation and it is conjunct Venus, which is your ruling planet, this could indicate that you are going your separate ways with your significant other. And even if it's not in a romantic sense, this could be in a business sense. And because this is occurring in the 10th house, there is something which pertains to public knowledge here, where other people are being made aware of the status of either a relationship, platonic, romantic, or otherwise. And for others of you, this is like your work situation, where it almost has like announcement territory, or at the very least, you know, people are finding out about whatever new chapter is starting in your life. Again, this is on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world. And it doesn't necessarily mean that all of this is taking place then. It could just be the conversation or the initial idea. And I just want to lastly hone in on the trine to Mars in Gemini in the second house. Whatever is taking place for you around the 21st or the 22nd of January, plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks, this is about you acting in alignment with your values, acting in alignment with your inherent self-worth, and this is all about elevating your self-esteem as well. And the trine to Mars simply indicates that you have the courage to do this, that you have the wherewithal to see this through. And also this could be you making a decision which is in alignment or in your best interests with respect to your financial situation, or with, I want to say, independence, just general, even if it's not financial independence. So Taurus, if you want to know how 2023 is going to play out for you, you can purchase your 2023 yearly horoscopes using the link in the description box below. Now I'm going to move on to Gemini, and I cannot believe it's been about an hour and I've only done 2 signs. Why do I do this? Anyway, I'm going to make these a little bit shorter if I can. So this is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This is your January horoscope. So, Geminis, this is a huge month for us. And I say that because I am a Gemini rising. And the reason why it's such a big month is because Mars is retrograde in our sign for the first 12 days, plus Mercury will be retrograde until the 18th of January. So every time Mercury goes retrograde, Geminis all over the world are like, why does this happen so frequently? Don't worry, it's going to be fine. So first things first though, let's have a look at the Venus-Pluto conjunction at 27 degrees in Capricorn in the 8th house. This is extremely psychological. This is an emotional time. You could even be feeling it now because it's the 29th of December. So this is about you understanding your deep emotional needs when it comes to intimacy, relationships, sex, money, power, let's say power and control dynamics. And also the 8th house is associated with the occult. It is associated with addictions and fears and intimacy in and of itself. So this can see you having a profoundly deep conversation with another person, which could reveal certain hidden truths or hidden fears and insecurities that you didn't know that you had. Even if you're not necessarily having this conversation with another person, it could be that you are simply doing your own inner work, shadow work as they call it, with respect to these topics. I actually see this as leading to some kind of profound breakthrough. And also, I didn't mention this earlier, but we actually had a Venus-Pluto conjunction at the same degree, at 27 degrees Capricorn, back in March of 2022. So somehow we're revisiting something that's that we've already experienced, or something that we've already been thinking about. You know, this is not new territory. This is peeling back those layers of this emotional, confusing onion and getting to the root of self-sabotaging behavior, especially because Venus rules over the 12th house, which is Taurus. And it also rules over the 5th house, which is connected to dating, romance, and sex. And Pluto and the 8th house are also connected to sex. So I would be surprised if there was not a Gemini out there who was not focusing on these topics, regardless of whether you are in a relationship or not. This is also a look at whether these needs are being met, whether this is in relationships, sex, emotional intimacy, your ability to be vulnerable with other people. And this also connects to receivership, your ability to receive emotional support from another person, your ability to receive financial support from another person, or just being able to tap into other people's resources in and of itself. You may have a very profound, I want to say, occult reading during this period of time, whether this is with an astrologer, a numerologist, a tarot reader, a psychic, a medium, etc. You could have your own profound realizations during this period of time, or you could be having some kind of psychic level of awareness which is elevated or heightened around the 1st of January, plus or minus a few days. Now, in terms of Mars being retrograde in Gemini in your 1st house, first of all, I want to say that the Geminis who will be affected the most will be those between 8 and 25 degrees, and that is because these are the retrograde degrees. Even if you're not between 8 and 25, you'll still feel it. Okay, so with Mars being retrograde in the 1st house, I'm sure for many of you there will be lots of pent-up emotions, frustration, anger, a sense of restlessness, which is still being felt for the first, I want to say 12 days, if not 2 weeks of January. And then with Mercury being retrograde, which is the ruling planet for Gemini, being on top of that, it's like, things may kind of reach a peak, but then that clarity is coming through, or the solutions are coming through. So for others of you, this could be like you have not been able to exert your willpower, or your drive to complete certain tasks could have been all over the place. Many Geminis will have been experiencing like inflammation in the body, headaches, aches and pains, just generally speaking. Unfortunately, this can indicate a time where Geminis suffered some kind of injury, especially to, let's say, the arms, hands, fingers. Be extra careful while both Mars and Mercury retrograde for the first 12, as in together, for the first 12 days of the month. It doesn't necessarily need to be perceived as a bad thing. As a Gemini rising, I personally have felt like, I have a lot stronger willpower. I feel like I have more courage to take certain important action, even if it hasn't been taken yet. This is about you relying on yourself. Okay, Mars in Gemini is like you focusing on being able to make decisions independently, but there is this bent towards reassessing, re-strategizing, and just pivoting when it comes to how you've been taking action, and certainly how you've been communicating with other people. So with Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn in the 8th house between 24 back to 13 degrees, this can see you going back over certain information that you had, whether this is pertaining to notes from a meeting with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a tarot reader, an astrologer. You could be visiting one of these people again who you used to see. So starting appointments back up with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or someone in the occult industry. Mercury retrograde in the 8th house can see you having powerful realizations when it comes to blockages that are connected to emotional intimacy and your ability or lack thereof to be vulnerable with other people. Mercury retrograde in the 8th house can see you receiving money that was delayed. This can see you getting your tax return back. I still need to do mine. And honestly, this can also see you just having important conversations, or actually having like profound realizations when it comes to hidden truths or information that has been suppressed either by other people or from yourself. And the same can be said for deep and profound conversations with family members, because Mercury rules over your 4th house. Okay, so in in terms of the combination of Mercury and Mars being retrograde together, I mean, when I was first looking at this, I was like, oh no. Oh God, how's this going to affect me as a Gemini plus Virgo moon? I'm not afraid. I actually think that this is going to serve up much needed clarity and just, allow Gemini's sun, moon, and risings to take the action that is necessary, especially if this has been something that they've been contemplating for a long time. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, which Capricorn rules over tradition, structure, our vocation, our goals, and our ambitions, but also time. Capricorn rules over anything that has gone on for a long period of time. It's like, okay, now I can move forward. Now I know what I want. Now I know what I need to do. Now I know how to go about things and, how to navigate difficult relationships, especially because Mars is retrograde in Gemini in the first house. So Geminis do expect for there to be some really, really important conversations that are had within the first 12 days of the month, or at the very least, important and profound epiphanies and realizations and downloads of information when it comes to relationships, when it comes to projects, when it comes to communications, when it comes to your mindset. Is the glass half full or is it half empty? And also, this rules over your goal setting when it comes to life purpose, career path, legacy, and your professional status and reputation. Okay, on the 6th of January, we are going to have a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees in your second house. So this is all about finances, valuables, possessions, self-worth, self-esteem, as well as diet. So with full moons in general indicating the ending of a cycle or the end of a chapter, this can see you closing out a financial stream of income. You could be receiving a lump sum of money. It's 111 right now on the clock as I'm saying this. So you could be coming into money. You could be coming into an important possession or valuable. For others of you, this could indicate having a really important realization when it comes to your self-worth, your values, and how you can act in accordance or in alignment, I should say, with these sets of values that you have. And because the full moon is in Cancer and it's at the Cancerian degree, this would likely be pertaining to family matters and your property and living circumstances, and also just knowing what you need to do in order to have a stronger sense of emotional security or self-worth. So I actually see this as being a breakthrough full moon for you guys when it comes to knowing what your values are and knowing how to act in accordance with those. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees, and this will be in your 9th house. Okay, so it's trining you as a Gemini sun, moon, or rising. Trines are basically harmonious, beneficial aspects. We love to see a trine. So a new moon in Aquarius in your 9th house can indicate that there is a new form of education that you want to pursue, or maybe you will become the teacher in this instance. So it's like new goals with respect to education, or a new chapter that is developing there, something new that you want to learn. Even if you're not enrolling in college or university or becoming a teacher, this is like a higher level of knowledge, and this could indicate you becoming masterful in a certain area, regardless of whether there is formal education involved or not. This new moon in Aquarius will be making a trine to Mars in Gemini at 8 degrees. So this indicates that as Geminis, we have the motivation, the courage, and the energy to pursue this full throttle. And for others of you, this could This could indicate a decision that you are making with respect to travel, okay? Because the ninth house is all about travel and tourism. So maybe you're looking at planning a trip. It could be one which is connected to career, because we do have Venus conjunct Saturn at 23 and 24 degrees Aquarius, or it could be an extended trip because of that conjunction to Saturn. And with Venus ruling over your 12th house, this could be to a faraway place. And by that I mean it's not like Australia to New Zealand or the States to Canada. It doesn't necessarily have to be. And for others of you, because we've got Venus, which is the ruler of your 5th house, which is dating and romance, being conjunct Saturn, which represents a very high level of commitment and, a serious level of commitment. There could be an important conversation which takes place about the future of a romantic relationship or a connection, regardless of whether this eventuates immediately, as in regardless of whether something comes of it immediately. We are looking at like future planning, where is this going? So that's about it for the new moon in Aquarius in your 9th house. If anything, I would just say that this is a powerful time for new belief systems coming through, realizations and epiphanies with respect to all kinds of beliefs, religious, political, and spiritual. And maybe for some of you, there will be a new commitment to a spiritual or to a religious practice that comes through, which is really honoring your belief system. So Gemini, if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. Now I'm going to move on to Cancer, and I'm going to try my absolute best to keep these to 10-minute horoscopes now. Okay, so Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This is a very impactful month for you because your 1st and your 7th house axes, which is the self and other people, is extremely highlighted for January. So on the 1st of January, Venus will be conjunct Pluto in Capricorn at 27 degrees in your 7th house. You could be feeling this transit now as I'm filming on the 29th of December. You could be feeling it for, the first few days of January. And essentially, because this is occurring in your 7th house, this highlights personal relationships, whether this is with a romantic partner, your spouse, whether this is with a friend, whether this is a client relationship, not a mentor relationship, I mean to be like a one-to-one personal relationship, or maybe this is even to do with, let's say, contracts that you enter into or that you are involved with, because that is the function of the 7th house. So we've got Pluto in the mix here, obviously, and Pluto rules over your 5th house. So somehow there is this focus on romantic connections or a romantic connection, regardless of whether you are in a relationship or not. This is still like what you are considering. So essentially, this can see you having a very, very deep conversation with your significant other, with a romantic partner, or this could even be with your child, because Pluto rules over the 5th house, and this occurring in the 7th house is like your relationship with them, or a let's say conversation, an important conversation that you have with them. This can see you unearthing information, or you could be vulnerable in a conversation or within a relationship where it's like you're, wearing your heart on your sleeve and you're getting to the root cause of some kind of issue. Now, for others of you, this can see you basically deciding whether or not you want to continue in a relationship with another person. And again, this could be any of those aforementioned relationships, whether this is romantic, whether this is contractual with a client, or even with a friend as well. Certainly themes surrounding power, domination, control, emotional intimacy, vulnerability, and emotional manipulation, as well as trust, could be coming up for you during this period of time. And I don't want to put, or project negative connotations onto it or positive connotations, because this is going to play out differently for all different Cancerians. Ultimately, you will be heavily focusing and analyzing how you feel about your one-to-one connections of all kinds, and whether or not you feel valued in these relationships or within these connections. And the same can be said for family connections as well, because Venus does rule over your 4th house, which is Libra. So with Mars being retrograde in your 12th house from, let's say until the 12th of January, again, there is this focus, and when I say again, I mean I'm focusing on what I was talking about in December 2022, but if you didn't watch that horoscope, this was all about self-sabotage, and especially with respect to romantic connections, or what brings you joy, pleasure, and passion, with Mars ruling over your 5th house. So for many of you, this can see you having secret fantasies about someone. Maybe this is, a surprise for you. Maybe this is someone who like that connection is a bit taboo, or it's a little bit forbidden somehow. And for others of you, this can see you understanding how you've been self-sabotaging, how you have been, selling yourself short in relationships, or even when it comes to your ability to, maybe start your own business, or for you to pursue what brings you pleasure or happiness. For others of you, there could have been something going on here where it's like you were, deliberately, deliberately withholding pleasure from yourself as a way of punishing yourself for something. So it's almost like, martyring yourself in a sense. But you are coming out of this. So with all of this being said, some of you may have overcome a fear, hidden fear, an addiction. You could have cut out these self-sabotaging behaviors. You could be feeling like you are more in control of your subconscious urges, and you may have just being able to release hidden or trapped emotions, let's say unprocessed emotions. Okay, so with Mercury being retrograde in your 7th house in the sign of Capricorn, first of all, this will be from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January, but also this will be from 24 degrees back to 13 degrees. So if you are a Cancerian between 13 and 24 degrees, you'll feel it more strongly than these other Cancers, but that doesn't mean you won't feel it, because you will. So Mercury being retrograde in the 7th house can indicate having clarifying conversations with other people, or hearing back from exes, hearing back from ex-lovers, ex-friends, clients, co-workers, long story short, people that you have not been in communication with for a long time. And, you could feel as though this is unwanted. You don't want to hear from these people, or you're like, why are you contacting me? But for others of you, even if you're not hearing back from exes, this can just indicate that you are, rethinking older connections or former connections and your behavior in these. And also some of you may have to renegotiate contracts. You may have to go over them. You may have forgotten to sign along the dotted line. There could be changes to an existing contract. The fulfillment of contracts could be delayed, or it's like whatever you had agreed upon with another person. When it comes to a verbal agreement or a written agreement, this is subject to change. So, if you're thinking that, okay, this contract is going to be done and dusted and fulfilled within the first 18 days of January, it probably won't be, or there will need to be changes or amendments made to that contract. So just remember, we experience Mercury retrogrades 3 times a year, if not 4. It's not a big deal. You don't have to make it a big deal, but having Mars and Mercury retrograde together at the same time for that overlap period of the first 12 days of January indicates that there is this focus on the 7th house and the 12th house for you guys. So this is like communications, relationships with other people, and then hidden information, or, secret attractions to other people, sordid relationships. I definitely don't want to scare anyone at all, but just be careful of people not having the your best interests at heart, or some backstabby energy going on. It doesn't need to be anything deliberate or nefarious. It could be quite unconscious. On a different note, this could see you guys experiencing subtle emotional manipulation that you're not really super aware of, or you become aware of it and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that, I was blind to this before, that I didn't see it before. Ultimately though, I see this as being a very positive time for having clear communication with other people, understanding where you both are, whether you're on the same page, whether you want to maybe even go your separate ways. And with the full moon in Cancer on the 6th of January at 16 degrees, this is an emotional one for Cancerians. You guys always feel full moon energy because you are ruled by the moon. So basically, a full moon in the first house can indicate an epiphany. It can indicate the achievement of a personal success or milestone. It can indicate the conclusion of a certain chapter or cycle that is occurring in your life. It can indicate that you are having powerful realizations about what you want to do with your life, and what you want to do with respect to relationships. Or if you're a Cancer sun, this could be to do with your career, with business. If you're a Cancer moon, this could be powerful downloads of information about your family or your property and living circumstances and your emotional state or your emotional needs. I do like a full moon in the sign of the individual, full moon in Cancer for Cancerians, because it just represents these powerful realizations that you'll be having about the ways in which you have been, let's say, holding back, and what you can do to really move forward beyond a difficult set of circumstances. And also this can indicate having the courage to walk away from certain relationships or end a chapter in your life, or just understand how something has been impacting you on an emotional level. Okay, now on the new moon in Aquarius on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, this is going to take place in your 8th house. And this is going to be a very psychological new moon for you. But because we have Venus conjunct Saturn with this new moon, there are still tangible steps that may be taken by you, or this could be showing up in a tangible way. It doesn't have to all be psychological. So essentially, a new moon in the 8th house can indicate that you are starting a new intimate sexual relationship with another person, especially because we've got Venus conjunct Saturn. Venus rules over relationships and Saturn rules over your 7th house, which also represents relationships. For others of you, this can indicate that you are committing to some sort of ongoing occult, I want to say, experience. So maybe you are setting up ongoing appointments with an astrologer or with a tarot reader. And even if it's not like weekly or monthly appointments, it could be that these are very long or very laborious or intensive, or this could be like, you sign up for some kind of contract, but it's like every quarter for like 2 years, so it's like a long spanning thing. And the same can be said for seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So there may be some sort of what's it called? A medical plan that you are entering into with a psychologist or with a psychiatrist or some sort of counselor or therapist. The 8th house rules over mutual resources. So this could see you either combining your resources with another person, and that comes through with the Venus Saturn conjunction. So it's like, hey, we're solidifying this, we're combining it, we're making this, more official in one way or another. But then again, the opposite of that could be occurring because Saturn rules over separation and distance as well as commitment. So it's like an either or situation. Of course, this is a general reading, so just take it however it resonates. But yeah, for others of you, it could be like the separation of certain mutual resources. And lastly, with this transit, the 8th house is connected to deep research. So it could be that you are committing to some form of really deep research, whether this is to do with certain theories that you may have, or investigation into certain matters that you want to do, that you want to explore, I should say. And because this new moon in Aquarius is making a trine to Mars in Gemini in the 12th house, there is some sort of secrecy that is surrounding this new moon. Just generally speaking, you know, it's like keeping things under wraps as Cancerians, because we are highlighting the 8th and the 12th houses, which are both connected to secrets and keeping things hidden. And so Cancer, if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscopes, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. Before I move on to Leo, I am going to take a quick break. I want to say 2 minutes, but it'll probably be longer than that. So I will be back soon. I'm about halfway, well, I'm a quarter of the way through my my horoscopes at this point, but you know, I'm going to try and fly through these at 10 minutes each. This was 15 minutes, so you know, I didn't hit my goal of 10 minutes. I am going to try to speed them up, guys, but yes, I will see you in a couple of minutes. I'll be back. I'm back. Thank you for your patience, everyone. And now I'm going to continue with Leo. Okay, just bear with me. Okay, so this is for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Leo's on the 1st of January. Venus will conjunct Pluto in Capricorn at 27 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 6th house. So the 6th house is all about work, health, your daily habits and routines, and essentially it rules over any area of your life that is out of balance. Now, with Venus ruling over your 2nd house, which is Libra, as well as your 10th house, which is Taurus, this indicates that there is an important realization that will be had with respect to how you have been spending your money or how you have been arranging your finances. And for others of you, this could be about, you considering if you're getting paid enough. Are you being valued enough in the workplace, or are you honoring or not honoring your values when it comes to what you want to be doing in a professional sense? And even if you're not working, this could be how you want to be remembered and the legacy that you want to leave behind. Because Venus rules over food, and it also rules over your 2nd house, which is also connected to food, there could be some sort of let's say realization which takes place pertaining to your diet and how you've been nourishing yourself. Now, this could be an intuitive download of information, or it could be that you're seeing a doctor around this period of time who is basically making you aware of how your diet has been impacting you, and this could actually set you on a path of course correction. Now, because this is occurring in your 6th house and Venus rules over relationships, there may be some sort of, let's say, conversation or correspondence that takes place between you and your co-workers, or even between you and your boss, or you and people who work for you. And this could be very illuminating, especially because Pluto is involved here. So you could actually be finding out a workplace secret, or coming across some very scandalous information which pertains to someone that you work with. Now, Now, with Mars being retrograde until the 12th of January in Gemini in your 11th house, this can see you redefining and re-strategizing when it comes to your long-term goals and dreams for the future. And for others of you, this can see you basically making important decisions about your friendship group or any community or group that you are a part of. You may be wanting to remove yourself from certain groups or communities. And in terms of Mercury being retrograde in your 6th house from the 29th of December until the 18th of January, this can see you rethinking your work, whether this is you having to change jobs or wanting to change jobs. This can see you getting back in touch with people who used to work for you. You may have to revisit projects that you thought that you were done and dusted with in a work sense. Now, because the 6th house is connected to health, you may be revising certain health or exercise regimes that you are participating in. And for others of you, you may just be wanting to go back to a doctor or maybe even a dentist and just have like a follow-up or check-up appointment, especially because Mercury retrogrades are about doing things again. And this is actually a really powerful time for you to be able to cut out bad habits or even addictions or things that are basically not in your best interests in a health sense. So this can see you actually successfully, getting rid of some addiction. When I say getting rid, I mean overcoming an addiction or overcoming a bad habit. And, this could be for some of you related to food, even if it's just like you're eating too many sweets and you want to cut down on that. For others of you, it could be about biting your nails because Mercury rules over your second house, which is Virgo. And in terms of the combination of the energy of Mars and Mercury both being retrograde for an overlap period of 12 days for the first 12 days of the month, we really are looking at the energy of the 6th house together with the 11th house, which is all about work, health, habits, routines, and also long-term planning, long-term success, your big goals, your dreams for the future. So it could be like, how do I arrange my life or my habits or my diet in a way which protects my long-term health? Or, what do I want to do with my work in the long term? And where do I see myself going within this company or with these work processes? The other day, someone said something to me which was really impactful. And this is more for those of you who own your own business. But essentially it was, you need to step back. You need to work on the business, not just work in the business. So this is about taking a step back. So it's allowing you to see the bigger picture. So if you have been, even if you don't own your own business, if you've been way too much in the details and just in survival mode and trying to get through the day, from 9 to 5 or whatever hours you keep, for many of you, I'm sure it's way longer than that. This is about you looking at the bigger picture. Maybe you're working way too hard and this is going to damage your health in the long run. So somehow there is this conversation or this ruminating on, what am I doing every day? How is this serving me in a long-term work sense or with respect to my long-term goals and dreams? And, how is this affecting my health? So that's really the essence of the combination of Mercury and Mars both being retrograde during the first nearly couple weeks of January. Now, on the 6th of January, there's going to be a full moon in Cancer, and this is going to be at 16 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 12th house. So this is a very psychological house. Okay, so full moons in the 12th house can be very enlightening and very illuminating. And for many of you, this could be to do with unprocessed emotional issues. Okay, so it's like, how have I been self-sabotaging? What did I bury down emotionally? What needs to be revisited and purged? And I would actually encourage you guys to do some sort of full moon release ritual, whether this is listening to a meditation, which ties in the energy of the full moon and letting go of what no longer serves you, or you may want to write down on a piece of paper things that you want to release from your life. And this is in order to make way for new manifestations or for new things to enter into your life. So on a different level, the 12th house is connected to creativity. So you could be concluding some kind of creative or artistic piece, which is now ready for release. For others of you, I would just say that there may be sleep disturbances that occur around the 6th of January, plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks. So just be mindful of that. And looking at the new moon in Aquarius, this is going to take place on the 21st or the 27th of January at 1 degrees. So this will impact Leos on a relationship level or with respect to commitments that they have entered into or that they are looking at entering into. While full moons indicate a situation coming to a close or reaching its peak, new moons indicate a new chapter that is starting. And because this is occurring in your 7th house, this is, for many of you, going to indicate entering into a new relationship. And this could be a work relationship, or this could be a romantic connection or a romantic relationship, because we are tying in Venus, which is relationships of all kinds, and the 7th house, which is this, committed partnership. So the reason why I'm saying Venus and Saturn are involved here is because they will be conjunct at 23 and 24 degrees Aquarius. So in terms of the Leos who will be the most impacted, I mean, any Leo between 0 degrees and about 5 degrees will be impacted from the point of view of the new moon itself. But even those who are, you know, between about the 18 degrees and 29 degrees Leo, you're impacted by that Venus-Saturn conjunction. So it doesn't mean that the Leos in the middle aren't impacted, but, you know, just wanted to make special mention of that. So with all of this being said, and with Venus ruling over your 10th house, which is your public status, and it's connected to career, and with Saturn ruling over your 7th house, as well as your 6th house, which is tying in relationships, and the 6th house, which is work. For some of you, this is a new contract. This is a new working relationship. This is a new client. This could be a commitment which takes up a lot of your energy or your work resources, or resources at work, or your time with work. On a relationship level, this could be you taking things to an exclusive level or a higher level of commitment. For others of you, this could even be a proposal, a romantic proposal. And you know, it would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that Venus conjunct Saturn can indicate a separation. So if you are in an existing relationship, especially one where there is a high level of commitment, which would require, you know, some form of official separation or effort put into separating, then that could be coming through as well. And, you know, it could be either or. So on one hand, you know, you could be entering into a higher level of commitment in a romantic relationship. On a different note, you could be walking away from an important work contract or work client relationship. Just apply this situation to however it fits you personally. And so, Leo, that's all I have for you for January 2023. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. And so now let's have a look at Virgo sun, moon, and risings. So on the 1st of January, Venus will be conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees in Capricorn, and this will be taking place in your 5th house. So this did actually take place, as in the conjunction between Venus and Pluto in 2022, and it happened to be at the same degree. So that was the last time we had the Venus-Pluto conjunction. Nevertheless, this is trining you, okay? So we like trines in astrology, and because this is in the 5th house, this is connected to dating, romance, sex, joy, fun, passion, pleasure, hobbies, your creative self-expression, owning your own business if you own one, or if you're looking at owning one. And the 5th house also rules over children in our life as well, whether this is our own children or other people's children. So a Venus-Pluto conjunction in the 5th house can indicate that you are taking a romantic connection, regardless of the intensity of it, to a deeper and more profound level. So more intimacy could be coming through, or more emotional vulnerability could be experienced within this connection. And even if there's no one in the picture at the moment, this could indicate that you are actually meeting someone who, you know, you connect with on this deep level or on this soul level. Now, with this conjunction occurring in your 5th house, it could be that you have a profoundly deep or healing experience through sex or through your romantic connection, or there could be an incredible level of healing that comes through when it comes to a romantic connection that you have with another person. And, you know, this doesn't need to be in the 3D. This doesn't need to be a physical experience. Even if you feel like you have this psychic connection with another person, or this deep spiritual connection with another person, healing and intimacy could be, you know, experienced between you during this period of time, which, well, it's the 1st of January, but even now on the 29th of December, or even the first few days of the month, this could be coming through. If you own your own business, this could see you having a sudden download of information when it comes to how you can increase your resources and make more money, especially because Venus rules over your 2nd house. And with Venus ruling over your 9th house, being Taurus, this is like long-term planning, long-term success. So, you know, there is this big, this intense preoccupation with your creative self-expression, owning your own business, how you can basically free yourself up financially or accumulate more wealth or more material abundance so that you are able to pursue things that you are passionate about. And, you know, for others of you, this could just indicate that there is an awareness of what does bring you joy, what brings you pleasure, and what doesn't. So it's like understanding your creative needs on this deeper level. And for those of you who have children, this can see you having a very deep and profound conversation with your child, or maybe you're just having this intuitive understanding of their needs. And lastly, with this transit, this can indicate a powerful inner knowing or an intuitive feeling when it comes to whether you want to have children or not, or how you would want to be raising a family. And, you know, basically there's a deeper level of contemplation which is coming through surrounding these subjects. Now, Mars will be retrograde in Gemini till the 12th of January in your 10th house, and this is between 8 and 25 degrees. The Geminis who will be the most impacted by this will be those between 8 and 25 degrees. Did I say Geminis? I meant Virgos. The Virgos who will be the most impacted by this Mars retrograde in Gemini transit will be those between 8 and 25 degrees. So with this occurring in your 10th house, first of all, it's been retrograde in your 10th house since the end of October. So you're not like a stranger to this energy. It's nothing that is new. But with this occurring in the 10th house, this is like you reinventing yourself. How do I want to be known? Who do I want to do business with Mars ruling over the 3rd house? Who do I want my clients to be? What do I want to do every day with work? How do I want to set up my meetings or my daily plans? What do I want to do from a marketing perspective? What kind of content do I want to create? What kind of sales should I be focusing on making? And, you know, this could also indicate reinventing yourself when it comes to social media, branding, marketing. There could be a huge revising of contracts that you are involved with, especially if these pertain to your mutual resources with another person, because Mars rules over your 8th house. And with Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn in your 5th house from the 29th of December through to the 18th of January, first of all, the Virgos who would be the most affected would be those between 13 and 24 degrees. Nevertheless, Mercury retrograde in the 5th house is like hearing back from exes, or you getting back in touch with a former romantic connection. So it could go either way. You hear from them, they hear from you. It doesn't need to be like them sliding into your DMs and you flirting with this person. It could be that there is some kind of perfunctory conversation or correspondence that needs to take place. And for others of you, the spark could be reignited within an existing relationship or within a romantic connection. And, you know, even if it's not about hearing back from an ex or reigniting the spark, it could be having these revelatory conversations where you're finally getting onto the same page, or you're understanding things from each other's perspective. Yes, this can indicate dredging up old conversations from the past, and they are clarifying conversations though, I might add. The combination of Mercury being retrograde at the same time as Mars retrograde for the first 12 days of January indicates that the 5th house is highlighted and the 10th house is highlighted. So this can see you really thinking about how you want to come across in your public reputation and in a professional sense. With Mercury being retrograde in the 5th house, this can see you rethinking how you do business. You may be changing the name of your business or the aesthetic. The combination of these two can definitely see there being changes coming through on a romantic level. And also, this can see you reclaiming your personal power and really cultivating a higher level of confidence when it comes to working on your independence, because Mars retrograde in the 10th house is like you claiming that independence and you being self-sufficient and really trusting your own inner knowing when it comes to decision making, with Mars ruling over the 3rd house, as well as how to handle emotionally intimate conversations or relationships, with Mars ruling over the 8th house. So, there is this big, I want to say, focus on communication, on romance, dating, sex, but also work and professional status. And you don't need to be in a relationship or for there to be anyone in the picture, past, present, or future, for you to be impacted by these transits. This is a very powerful time for Virgos when it comes for independence, confidence, and elevating your self-esteem and your ability to execute decisions in a way that is rooted in you being in alignment with your own needs and just being a more authentic version of yourself. Now, on the 11th, keep saying the 11th, on the 6th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees in your 11th house. So the 11th house is all about friendships, community, networking. Also, the 11th house is connected to your long-term goals and dreams, your big goals and dreams for the future. And it is a house which is connected to passive forms of income. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter or the ending of a cycle taking place. With this being in your 11th house, this could be you actually receiving a lump sum of money. That can happen with a full moon in the 11th house. You could be receiving some kind of recognition or acknowledgement for a job well done. The 11th house is connected to rewards, recognition, and it is a very lucky house in astrology. So, don't mind a full moon in the 11th house because it can bring through some kind of elevation of your social status. But, obviously I want to give a well-balanced overview of this transit. For some of you, this could be walking away from a certain group or a community. This could be you closing out a chapter or an important cycle with a friend. Worst case scenario is the end of a friendship taking place, but it doesn't need to be that. For others of you, if you had a long-standing issue in a friendship, it could be that you two are getting onto the same page and reconciling. And lastly, with the full moon being in your 11th house, this could see you closing out some form of residual income or passive income, or on a positive level, this could be the fulfillment of a goal. This could be you achieving some sort of milestone of success. And so looking at the new moon though in Aquarius, this will be taking place at 1 degrees in your 6th house, and it will be on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world. So new moons indicate a new chapter taking place, or some sort of new cycle that is beginning. With this occurring in your 6th house, again, we are looking at work, we are looking at health, daily habits and routines. And essentially, because this new moon is making a trine to Mars in Gemini in the 10th house, this is activating something on a professional level for you, or at least with respect to your higher visibility within your life, your community, even if you're not in the workplace. But let's just go through one by one. This can indicate that you are starting a new position at work. There could be new responsibilities coming through. There could be a new project. You could just be setting up in a new office as well. Venus will be conjunct Saturn at the time of this new moon in Aquarius. And just by the way, the Geminis who will be the most impacted would be those between 0 and 5 degrees for the new moon. But for the Venus-Saturn conjunction, I would say this would be between 18 degrees and 29 degrees Gemini. So if you're in the middle, don't worry, it doesn't mean you're, oh my gosh, did I say Geminis? I meant to say Virgos. Actually, just scrap the whole degree thing. I just went off on a tangent. Let's start again. On the 21st or the 22nd of January, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees in your 6th house. And the 6th house is about work, daily habits, health, and your routines, and anything that is out of balance. So this new chapter that is occurring could be you starting a new job, starting at a new workplace. This could be you hiring new employees as well. For others of you, you could be engaging the services of a new doctor or a new healer or health practitioner. And for others of you, this is just like a new workout regime, a new health regime, and really confronting things that are out of balance in your life. This new moon in Aquarius will be making a trine to Mars in Gemini in your 10th house. So we are combining those themes of work. On both on the 6th house front and on the 10th house front. So with Venus being conjunct Saturn, it could be that you are entering into a long-standing working arrangement, but for others of you, it could be the separation of you and, let's say, someone that you work with in a professional sense. I'm happy to see the new moon trining Mars in Gemini, because this represents an ability for Virgos to act with courage and take action in a way that comes from personal power and confidence, despite whatever curveballs may be thrown your way. This new moon in Aquarius will be squaring Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 9th house. So I don't see this as a negative thing, that being the square. With Uranus and Taurus in your 9th house, it's still trining you as a Virgo. So this is like, combining the desire to do something new with feeling beholden to tradition or to a long-standing arrangement that you either have with another person in a work sense, or it's like you want to break out, you want to do something new, but these old habits that you've been clinging to with Saturn in the 6th house need to be broken to act on that somehow. And so Virgo, that's all I have for you for January 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. So now let's have a look at Libra, Sun, Moon, or Risings. But first, I need to hydrate, and I cannot believe I'm only halfway through the horoscopes and I'm 2 hours into filming. Anyway, on the 1st of January, Venus will be conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 4th house at 27 degrees. This will impact Libras because Venus is your ruling planet. So this conjunction in your 4th house indicates to me that there is a really, really deep and profound realization that is being had with respect to your family, to your upbringing, your childhood. When I say family, this could be the family that raised you or that you grew up with. It doesn't need to be blood family. This could literally just be like the primary caregiver, even if that wasn't an institution. On a different note, this can see you looking at the family that you have created, whether this is you as a single parent or you with another person. And even if you haven't done that, as in you're not a parent, you could be visiting this topic and deciding whether or not you want to take that next step. And essentially the name of the game with this Venus-Pluto conjunction in your 4th house is deep and profound realizations that are connected to family, your parents, your children, immediate family, people that you live with, property and living circumstances, as well as childhood, upbringing, and your emotional security. Okay, so insecurities may be bubbling up for you around the 1st of January, plus or minus a few days, but you may have intense realizations surrounding what your needs are, whether these were met, whether these were not met. And also Pluto rules over secrets. So some hidden information could be coming to light with respect to your family. Ultimately, this does allow for deep and profound healing to take place. And also, if you can cast your mind back to March, early March in 2022, this is when we had the last Venus-Pluto conjunction, and it was at the same degree. You know what? Let me just give you the dates for that. Just so you can, do your research if you feel the need. oh my gosh. It was the 3rd of March in 2022. That's the last time we had that conjunction take place. So Mars will be retrograde till the 12th of January in your 9th house. And this is in the sign of Gemini. So this is trining you as a Libra. So Mars will be retrograde between 8 and 25 degrees. So Libras between 8 and 25 degrees will feel it the most strongly. Even if you are not within those degrees, don't worry. You know, it's still doing good things for Libra because it is trining you. So ultimately, this is you reconsidering or re-strategizing or changing up your goals and how you take action with respect to education, your belief systems, whether these are spiritual, religious, or political. And for others of you, this could be connected to the vision that you have for your future, how you see that going, the actions or the steps that you want to take towards that. And because Mars rules over your 7th house, this could be with respect to a significant other or to an important one-to-one personal connection that you have with another person. Now, Mercury will be retrograde in Capricorn from the 29th of December from 13 degrees to 24 degrees. So that's the 29th of December through till the 18th of January. And Mercury will be retrograde from 24 degrees back to 13 degrees. Sorry, I said that in the wrong order. So this Mercury retrograde will be squaring you as a Libra. So Libras who will be impacted the most will be those between 13 and 24 degrees. So Mercury retrograde in the 4th house is like, for some of you, moving back in with someone that you've lived with before, someone who's lived with you before, moving back in with you, reconsidering where you are living, reevaluating where you are living, maybe breaking lease, changing up contracts. If you have purchased a property or you're selling a property and there are contracts that have already been signed, there may be changes to the dates of that, you know, coming through or closing or settling. And, you know, there could be delays in this as well. That is a an unfortunate byproduct of Mercury retrograde in the 4th house, but it doesn't need to necessarily be a big deal. We have Mercury retrogrades 3, if not 4 times a year. This can see you reconnecting with a family member who you were estranged with, or there could be miscommunications that are occurring within your family or between you and people that you live with, flatmates, children, whoever. And the combination of Mars and Mercury both being retrograde at the same time for an overlap period of, you know, well, the first 12 days of January simply indicates that the 4th house and the 9th house are the primary focus for you. So it's like, you know, where do I want to be living? Am I happy in this, let's say, abode or this residence? You know, do I want to move elsewhere? This could be looking at an international move. This could be looking at family planning or the future of your connection with certain family members. And also this could be you really reconsidering how you can protect your energy in the long term when it comes to your emotional security or what your long-term needs are with respect to emotional security. So we're really combining the themes of the 4th house and the 9th house. And this could also be looking at, you know, what do you want for your family in a, you know, in terms of future proofing. For others of you, you could even be looking at, what just came to me now is like freezing your eggs, or you could be looking at, you know, the timeline of planning for family. So that's another thing that could be coming up pretty strongly for you. And also the 4th house is connected to the mother figure, or archetype, we can say, and the 9th house is connected to the father figure. So this can see you really considering your relationships with your mother and your father, or mother figure and father figure. And, you know, there could be a reconciliation which takes place, or there could be a reasserting of certain boundaries. Just give me a second, guys. Oh my God, that is so cold. Why am I even drinking my tea? Now, on the 6th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees, and this will be taking place in your 10th house. The 10th house is connected to your public status, your reputation, public visibility as well. And essentially this can see you fulfilling some kind of workplace obligation. This can see you achieving a promotion or a high level of let's say responsibility within a certain organization. This can see you putting to bed an issue that you've been experiencing with your boss or with someone in a position of authority or leadership in your workplace. And for others of you, this could see you achieving some kind of career success. Your work could be widely acknowledged or received at this period of time. So something that you have done could be ready for viewing. All right, and that sounds vague, but it's like anything that you have completed, which you would want other people to see, whether this is a work of art or whether this is a work project or a communications piece. You know, this can be circulated and widely received, and also celebrated as well, because this is occurring in your 10th house. Now, for others of you, this could indicate that there is a change in status when it comes to you as a parent, parental responsibilities, also your family status or your relationship status as well. So getting into a relationship or coming out of a relationship, or the nature of your relationship status being known or, you know, made public in one way or another. So just as an example, you may have entered into a relationship and no one knew about it, and now you're telling people. Or maybe you're coming out of a relationship and, you know, it was over for a while and now other people are finding out about it. That's another way that could play out. Now, lastly, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees in your 5th house. So this can indicate for some of you that you may be falling pregnant. For others of you, this can indicate that if you have children already, that there could be a brand new chapter that is starting in the life of your child. And this could be quite significant as well, especially because Venus is conjunct Saturn. Venus is your ruling planet, so this new moon will be strongly felt by all Libras. And for others of you, you could be starting a new business. There could be some kind of new creative venture that you are entering into, or if you own your own business already, there could be an important long-term decision that you are making, or a decision which has very official connotations. Maybe it involves some kind of government stamp of approval, or you're going through some kind of long and drawn out process with that Venus-Saturn conjunction. Now, this can actually indicate getting into a relationship with another person. So if you've been casually involved with someone, this could be taking it to the next level and a higher level of commitment, we can say. Now, the opposite of that can be true as well, because Venus conjunct Saturn can indicate separating from another person. It's just really going to depend on you and your own personal birth chart. But ultimately, I just want you guys to focus on the fact that the new moon is trining you as a Libra, and Venus and Saturn being conjunct is trining you as well. So I see this as you guys being in the driver's seat for this whole new moon in Aquarius experience. So whatever is taking place, you guys are having a direct hand in the outcome either way. And so Libra, that's all I have for you for January 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. So thanks, Libra. And now let's have a look at Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So Scorpios, on the 1st of January, Venus will be conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house. Pluto is the planet that rules you, as does Mars. I'm more traditional in the sense that I focus on Mars as the ruler, but you know, we still want to look at Pluto's influence as well. So I would say that Pluto is more of the subconscious influence for you, whereas Mars is more of like the direct action that you were taking. So nevertheless, Venus conjunct Pluto in your 3rd house indicates that there is this heavy focus on your communications within relationships. And that is because Venus rules over your 7th house, which is Taurus. So this immediately ties in personal relationships of all kinds, whether these are romantic, client relationships, or personal one-to-one friendships. And also Venus rules over your 12th house, which is Libra. So this represents a psychological element or a subconscious element that is coming through. So with Venus conjunct Pluto in your 3rd house, this can see you having a very important conversation, whether this is verbal or written, with another person, especially because 27 degrees is the Gemini degree. So somehow this is like an important conversation that you have with another person where you or them are being very open and vulnerable with the other person. That's like the highest vibration of this, or the best case scenario. So this is like an ability for you to really connect on a deep level and understand the emotional needs of this other person. And by the way, even if this is not a romantic connection, or even if this is not a friendship, for some of you, this could be with a sibling or a relative, because it's in the 3rd house. But for others of you, this could just be like an intuitive understanding of what your client needs, or, you know, how you two can come together and collaborate in a way which is effective. Now, with this conjunction taking place in the 3rd house, this could somehow entail the combining of mutual resources, which is Pluto, with another individual. And for others of you, you know, it could just be coming through as more of like a psychological download with respect to your mindset. You know, are you communicating effectively? Are your needs in alignment with this other person's needs? Do you want to continue having a friendship or a relationship with this person? And also, you could be having realizations about ways in which you have been self-sabotaging. And what immediately comes to mind is procrastination and how you can eliminate that. And you may even come across important reading material or like a YouTube video which helps you to elevate your mindset to one which will allow you to hyper focus and concentrate in the way that you would want to. Now, Mars is of course your modern ruling planet, traditional ruling planet, and it is retrograde in Gemini in your 8th house till the 12th of January. So this can see you continuing to have these intense, ruminations on issues that you may have with intimacy or in the bedroom, or realizations about your sex life, or this could be about you understanding hidden fears and triggers, doing a lot of shadow work. Indeed, lots of Scorpios will have been doing healing work and inner work during this period of time, and you're finally wrapping this up. So if you have felt a bit all over the place or ungrounded, or as though it has been difficult for you to marshal your energetic reserves, after the 12th of January, this can see you feeling more rejuvenated and more revitalized. And for others of you, you could have been completing some kind of healing work, whether this is with another person, or you're wrapping up sessions with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or maybe you're coming out of some kind of physical rehabilitation, whether this is, rehab for an addiction, or maybe even in a hospital, like physical therapy because you had a surgery. So really, as we move beyond the 12th of January, this is where that healing is taking place, and you can feel like you're getting back to your normal self. Mercury will be retrograde from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January, and this is occurring in your 3rd house. So this is really about you having clarifying conversations with siblings, relatives, clients, co-workers. Unfortunately, this can indicate that any contracts that you have with other people, verbal or written, we're not sticking to these. Either there are amendments being made on your part, on their part, there are delays coming through. Just double check that, you're sending emails to the right people, and that, before you tell someone off for not finishing work on time, or that they did the job incorrectly, you may just want to check that, you have all your facts straight, especially because Mars and Mercury will both be retrograde till the 12th of January. So Combining the 8th house and the 3rd house with these two retrogrades indicates that there are these profound realizations that come through with respect to how you communicate, how you think. Do you have a positive mindset? Do you have a negative mindset? And how you can really improve upon your communication or your communicative abilities. And also there could just be these I want to say tedious tasks that you have to attend to with respect to contracts that you have with other people or mutual resources that you have with other people. Now, on the 6th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees in your 9th house. So this can indicate liberation from an unhealthy set of belief systems, whether these are religious, spiritual, or political. This can see you having an epiphany with respect to your vision for your future, what you want to do going forwards, your connection to a spiritual set of beliefs or religious set of beliefs. Yes, on one hand, you could be deprogramming those or coming out of those, but on a different level, you could feel like you are being handed the secrets of the universe, or there could be an important set of synchronicities that you experience around the 6th of January, plus or minus a couple of weeks. And it's like these sudden downloads of information could help you to make very important decisions about the trajectory of your life or your life path in general. Now, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees in your 4th house. So this will be squaring you as a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising. When we have new moons in general, they indicate a new chapter or a new cycle that is taking place or beginning somewhere in our lives. And with this being in the 4th house, this is about your family life. This is about your property and your living circumstances. And also this new moon is trining Mars, which is your chart ruler, in Gemini in the 8th house. And it's also squaring Uranus in Taurus. And also the new moon, while we have the new moon in Aquarius, Venus and Saturn will be conjunct in Aquarius at 23 and 24 degrees. So this is like very intense, I want to say, because it is all squaring you. But the trine to your chart ruler is like, Scorpios, you guys can pull off anything, any direction that you want to go in, no matter how much effort you need to put in, no matter what course of action needs to be taken. You'll have the willpower, you'll have the courage. It's 2:22 on the clock right now as I'm filming this in my local time zone. So this indicates for many Scorpios that there will be a new set of living circumstances that are on the horizon, whether you're planting the seeds now or you're just having those initial conversations. This could be like, I want to move out of this place, I want to move into that place. Maybe you want to travel or live somewhere that you've never lived before, or there could be a lot of personal effort that goes into making that a reality with Venus conjunct Saturn. And also this could be breaking the norm. Okay, this could be breaking a lease, this could be breaking free from tradition or from your current set of living circumstances with that square to Uranus in Taurus. So maybe it's like you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelette, and maybe there's going to be a level or a layer of disappointment when it comes to the people that you live with or your family, or just like your cultural roots and cultural expectations, I want to say, but somehow this is still exciting. And for others of you, this could be about starting a family. This could be about moving in with someone who other people might find to be like surprising, all of this new set of living circumstances that you are aiming towards being a bit of a break from normality or a break from convention. Let's say conventional societal expectations. And with the new moon occurring in your 4th house, for some of you, this is simply you saying, hey, these are my boundaries, these are my emotional needs, and I'm actually not going to compromise on these. And it could just be a very psychological new moon in Aquarius where you're just like considering your childhood and your upbringing, and there could be some profound realizations that come through which lead you to wanting to take actual physical action going forwards. And again, that's on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world. And the influences will be felt 1 to 2 weeks before or after the new moon in Aquarius. So Scorpio, that's all I have for you for January. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And also, if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. And now I'm going to move on to Sagittarius. So I've only got 4 signs left. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I hope I don't lose my voice tomorrow, which kind of happened to me last time. But anyway, doesn't matter. So Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. On the 1st of January, we will have Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house, and this will be occurring at 27 degrees. And the 2nd house is all about your finances and your material possessions and your valuables, as well as your values, just generally speaking. So first of all, this doesn't make a direct aspect to you, and it does not involve your chart ruler. So it's not necessarily going to have the biggest impact on you. However, there can be a lot of, let's say, psychological feelings, or let's say intuitive downloads about your finances and your valuables, where it's like, what do I want to spend money on? What do I want to pursue? There can also be a combining of resources with another person, to be fair, just because Venus rules over relationships and Pluto rules over mutual resources. This can also indicate a need for you to accept assistance from another person. And I'm saying that because Pluto rules over these mutual resources, and with Venus ruling over your 11th house, which is Libra, and its friendships, you could be accepting, let's say, either emotional support or financial support from a friend in one way or another. And I want to take it a step further. It doesn't need to just be emotional or financial. It could just be that this friend is coming in to help you in a way which impacts you in a material sense. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So with Venus conjunct Pluto in your 2nd house, this could see you having a deeper level of awareness or an epiphany surrounding your worth and your value, especially because Venus also rules over Taurus in your 6th house, which is connected to work. So this is like, am I doing what I love? Am I earning money in a way which is aligned with my values? And with Venus ruling over your 11th house, it's like, do these connect to my long-term goals and dreams as well as my values as it is? Now, with Mars being retrograde in your 7th house till the 12th of January, this is impacting Sagittarians, okay? Whether you're a Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, Mars retrograde between 25 going back to 8 degrees indicates that the Sagittarians who will be the most impacted would be those between 8 and 25 degrees. Nevertheless, any transit in your 7th house will impact you always, no matter what sign you are, because it's activating that 1st and 7th house axes. So lots of Sagittarians have been going through it when it comes to romantic relationships, or just generally speaking, personal one-to-one connections and commitments that you have to other people. So first of all, Mars rules over your 5th house, which is connected to dating, sex, and romance. And then it also rules over your 12th house, which rules over insecurities, fears, addictions, and self-sabotaging behavior. So with this retrograde occurring in your 7th house, since the end of October in 2022, and through till the 12th of January in 2023, there is still this fixation on your relationships that you have with other people. Not to be dramatic, but this is make it or break it time for Sagittarians who are in an existing romantic connection with another person. And if there has been confusion within that connection about, is this solid? Where is this going? Do we have a future or not? There will be conclusions that are reached within January. And I dare say by the time we get to the 12th of January, absolute maximum would be the 18th of January, which is when the Mercury retrograde would be finishing up. So, for those of you who feel like your relationship has been on rocky ground, like I said, it is make it or break it energy. You may be deciding together that you want to move forwards. For others of you, this is like, we want to go our separate ways. But I just want to really stress that it will depend on your personal set of circumstances. This retrograde period is not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee, yes, we're going to be together, or no, we're going to break up. It's a guarantee that you will know where you stand definitively within these relationships by the time we get to mid, if not end of January. And romantic connections aside, the same can be said for friendships. The same can be said for contractual agreements that you have with another person, whether this is with your employer, whether this is someone that you have employed, or this could even be to do with one-to-one business connections or client relationships. And also the 7th house rules over the second born child, and also with Mars ruling over the 5th house, that's children anyway. So I would say, second born child aside, just your communications that you have with your children in general could be a hot topic for you for the first, couple weeks of the month. Now, with Mercury being retrograde in Capricorn from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January, and this being in your 2nd house, there is a lot of intense focus on your finances, on your possessions, on your valuables. Obviously I discussed that anyway with the Venus-Pluto conjunction in your 2nd house. But with this, it's like, what am I spending money on? Where is my money going? Do I really need to be subscribed to this? Where can I rebudget or refinance? You may be changing financiers. You may be receiving money that was owed to you by another person. There may be delays with your salary that come through just because Mercury rules over your 10th house. Your 7th house and your 10th house. So just be very careful with your finances, especially for the first 3 weeks of the month. If finances are tight, you just want to make sure that you've got some cash, handy in case you need it. Just remember, Mercury retrogrades happen like 3 times a year. Doesn't need to be a big deal, but it is going to be noticeable in the sense that Mars and Mercury will both be retrograde for an overlap period from, today, the 29th of December, through till the 12th of January. So really there is this enormous focus on your 2nd house, which is finances, valuables, possessions, and your own personal set of values, and relationships, contracts, promises that you make to other people, and commitments that you make to other people, whether you want to be in this commitment or not. There is this revision of your valuables, and this could have a very real world impact on your personal set of finances and resources. Now, on the 8th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer, and this will be taking place in your 8th house, which is a very psychological house. So this can see you having a profoundly, let's say, deep and intimate connection with another person. This could just be on an emotional level. This could be on a sexual level. And deep healing can take place with this full moon. So it's on the 6th of January, but we're looking at plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks. So we're already in this energy now. So you could feel like you are going through this healing process, especially when it comes to your emotions, or when it comes to family relations, which is what Cancer rules over. There could be some kind of sudden turn of events with respect to your family or your property and living circumstances, because the 8th house is associated with sudden reversals. So on one hand, this deep healing energy could be at play for you, but on a different level, there could be some kind of surprising element that comes through, or a shock or a revelation with respect to your family or to your current set of living circumstances. Full moons in the 8th house can indicate having important realizations about emotional intimacy, blockages, fears, addictions, and also the 8th house rules over the occult and anything esoteric, as well as secrets and hidden information. So you could be coming across information which was previously hidden from you, or just like unknown. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be like a shocking secret. It could just be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And this could actually influence your relationships with other people, your family connections, or how you perceive your current set of living circumstances, or even just your ability to, again, we're looking at receiving emotional support from other people. So it is really beautiful in the sense that I feel as though a deeper level of vulnerability can be accessed with this full moon in Cancer in your 8th house. Now, lastly, for the month, on the new moon, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, there will be a new moon in Cancer, a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees in your 3rd house. Okay, so new moons indicate a new chapter or a new cycle taking place somewhere in our lives. With this being in your 3rd house, it's exciting. I love a new moon in the 3rd house because it's like new business ideas, new sales ideas, new creative ideas. It is a great time for business, making new friends, new clients, just having all of this mental, cerebral energy that you can channel into a new written project or a communications project of some sort. You may be learning something new that is a function of the 3rd house. So you could be signing up for an apprenticeship, a course. You could be teaching a course. You could be engaging in the services of like a trainer, or you could be taking on the role of educator or trainer. Now, this new moon in Aquarius will be making a trine to Mars in Gemini in your 7th house. So you could be doing this in a one-to-one capacity. Or it could be like there's a small group of you, which is the 3rd house, and then you've got this person who is, taking a course. Could be tutoring. You could be learning something new with a friend or with your significant other. And also this new moon in Aquarius, which is at 1 degrees, will have Venus conjunct Saturn at 23 and 24 degrees, also in your 3rd house. And, this could indicate that you are, with Venus ruling over your 11th house, it could be like this is a long-term goal or dream of yours. You've always wanted to do this. If you've wanted to do this for a long time, or you're doing this with a friend, or you're learning online, you could be actually starting a new social media page, a new website. This could be developing a new invention or innovation. And, we've got Saturn ruling over the 3rd house as well as the 2nd house. So you could have to invest a bit of money into this, or it could be a long-term thing that you're planning. In any case, I do see this as being an exciting new moon with a lot of energy to back it up, and as in your ability to go through with this new project or this new education course. And so that's all I have for you, Sagittarius, for January. If you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. If you enjoyed the horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now let's move over to Capricorn. So Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. There is a big focus on you guys for this month, and that is because, we've got the Venus-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn in your 1st house. We've got a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn in your 1st house, and then we've got a full moon in Cancer in your 7th house. So any kind of stagnancy that you may have been experiencing over the last few weeks, you can finally move forward with certain decisions. But of course, let's start from the top. So on the 1st of January, Venus will be conjunct Pluto in Capricorn in your 1st house at 27 degrees. The last time Venus and Pluto were conjunct, was on the 3rd of March in 2022, also at 27 degrees. So we may be revisiting themes from then around, now, because it's the 29th of December. So anywhere between now and, the 3rd or the 4th of January. So ultimately, Venus rules over your 4th house, which is your family. I beg your pardon. Venus rules over your 10th house is what I meant to say, which is Libra. And it also rules over your 5th house, which is Taurus. So with this conjunction in your 1st house, this is you guys having these profound realizations about romance, dating, your sex life. If you have children, this could be about how you are parenting them or how you want to parent them, or this could be to do with whether you want to start a family or not, or have more children or not. And you could feel like you are accessing a deeper level of intimacy with your child and just understanding their emotional needs better. Certain triggers and fears could be coming up for you regarding children, whether you have them, whether you want to have them, whether you feel like you can or can't fall pregnant. This actually is an indicator that you could be, falling pregnant around this time, by the way, just to throw that out there, because Pluto has this very fertile energy, and then Venus rules over your 5th house being Taurus, which is connected to children. Nevertheless, on a romantic level, this can see you having some kind of intuitive download when it comes to whether you want to continue within a certain romantic connection, or if there's one that's sort of on the sidelines or in the wings, whether you want to move forwards with this or not. This can indicate that there are secrets coming to the surface with respect to someone that you were dating or romantically involved with. You could be discovering a secret about your child as well. And on a different level though, the 5th house, which Venus rules over, represents our creative hobbies, passions, creative self-expression, and owning your own business. So there may be a desire to start your own business or to take it to the next level, but there may be some blockages or fears that are coming up around this period of time. Don't worry, I will get to that with the Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. Ultimately, with Venus ruling over your 10th house and that being Libra, and with Pluto ruling over your 11th house being Scorpio, there is this huge focus either on a subconscious level or you just connecting to your emotions about life purpose, the trajectory that you're on, how you are known, your public reputation and visibility, and your long-term goals and dreams, and whether or not you are doing everything that you can to be in alignment with them. So there is some kind of realignment that is occurring with respect to your values and what you want to do with your life, just in a bigger sense. Okay, now with Mars retrograde in Gemini till the 12th of January, and with this being in your 6th house, there's still these work situations which you may be trying to tidy up. This could be like work projects that you need to finish up or attend to. You could be trying to work with a health practitioner to overcome certain health issues, or it could just be like a big focus on your health regime, your exercise regime, and your diet. So if you've been putting in the hard work, which I'm sure you have on a number of these levels since the end of October, you could be reaping the rewards around mid-January, or certainly late January or early February, after that post-Mars retrograde period wears off. And any workplace arguments or tensions that you have been experiencing, whether you are directly involved or not, these can really start to dissipate within that time frame as well. Mercury will be retrograde in Capricorn from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January. So Mercury retrograde in the 1st house, what can I say? This is like, first of all, a very busy time for Capricorns, whether this is, hearing back from friends, lovers, people who, just want to get your advice on certain situations. It could be like lots of different forms of communications converging at once, phone calls, texts, something occurring in your life where you're like, oh, now I just have to spend a lot of personal mental effort just tediously going through things and rearranging plans, especially because Mercury rules over your 6th house and 9th house. This could be rethinking your travel plans or making changes to a travel itinerary that is already in motion. Now, on a different level, Mercury retrograde in the 1st house can see you reconsidering life path, how you present, how you dress, how you do your hair, how you do your makeup, how you carry yourself. This can see you rethinking your appearance. This can see you reconsidering whether your actions and your motives and basically how you are communicating are all in alignment or not. Anything that feels off, any confusion that you may have been experiencing, especially over the last few weeks, you can actually be receiving clarity during this period of time. And, this can help you to sort out difficult, complicated matters, especially ones that are connected to your workplace or anything in your life that feels off kilter or off balance. And of course, the combination of this Mars and Mercury retrograde period is just honing in on those 1st and 6th houses for you. So confusion about health, confusion about work, discord within, let's say, conflictual relationships or relationships of a working kind, or even to do with the medical industry or the legal matters, I should say, can be clearing up within the first 2 to 3 weeks of the month. Now, on the 6th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees in your 7th house. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter taking place or the ending of some kind of cycle. And the 7th house is all about your one-to-one personal relationships, whether this is with your spouse, your significant other, a friend, or a client, or anyone that you have a contractual relationship with as well. And the 7th house rules over commitments and promises. So a full moon in the 7th house can play out in a few different ways. For one, contract over, okay? You have fulfilled your commitment or your obligation to another person. You no longer need to deal with this client, or it could be like the end of a friendship taking place or the end of a relationship taking place. It doesn't need to necessarily indicate an ending. It could be that a personal matter, especially because it's Cancer, or one of an emotional variety, or one that pertains to family, or one that pertains to property and living circumstances, is put to bed. It's overcome. We don't need to deal with this anymore. And for others of you, you and your partner could be making important decisions together about family planning, parental responsibilities, as well as your living circumstances and your property circumstances. So if that is something that has been confusing to you or up in the air, you can actually get on the same page, or at least have clarity on where you stand and where the other individual stands. So in a nutshell, this month is very clarifying for everyone, but especially for you guys, after, as I said before, some aggressive or overthinking, as I said at the beginning of the reading, I should say. Now, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees in your 2nd house. And this will affect you with respect to your finances, your possessions, your valuables, and your values. Okay, so what you value, your self-esteem, your inherent sense of self-worth, etc. And so this new moon is taking place at 1 degrees, but then we've also got Venus and Saturn at 23 and 24 degrees in Aquarius respectively. So basically the day after the new moon, Venus and Saturn form their proper conjunction in Aquarius. Essentially what this means is there is a new idea for a financial stream of income that is coming through. You're planting the seeds, there's an awareness of it, or there is commitment with another person to getting this off of the ground. This can see you having the resources to generate this new stream of income, or a new set of resources make themselves available to you. And because Venus is conjunct Saturn, and Saturn is your chart ruler, you're having like a personal hand in the development of this. And with Venus ruling over your 5th house, which is Taurus, as well as the 10th house, which is, Libra, we are tying in owning your own business, pleasure, play, relationships, plus work, career, professional responsibility, reputation and responsibility, and also public reputation. So, this could be playing out on a work level, but this could also be connected to a sudden set of realizations that come through with the new moon with respect to your worth in relationships, what you want from a romantic relationship, and you could be going into business with a romantic partner or with your child, or you could be setting new goals with respect to budgeting, finances, valuables, resources, and this could pertain to you know, you wanting to enjoy yourself more, start a family, raise a family, or being able to provide for other people. And so Capricorn, if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscopes, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. And only 2 more horoscopes to go, guys, but just give me one moment. Okay, so we are definitely going to go over 3 hours. Oh well, I've got time. So Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Risings. Let's have a look at your January. First of all, on the 1st of January, there will be a Venus-Pluto conjunction in your 12th house, and this will be occurring at 27 degrees. So this is occurring in the sign of Capricorn. And ultimately, the 12th house is a very psychological house. It is connected to addictions, fears, insecurities, self-sabotaging behavior. But then, you know, on a positive level, it's like unconditional love, healing, forgiveness, charity, artistic and creative self-expression, creative writing, music, and, you know, just being able to escape from reality. So these are like the themes that we're working with this Venus-Pluto conjunction, and also with the Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So ultimately, for you guys, Venus rules over your 9th house, which is Libra, and it also rules over your 4th house, which is Taurus. So there can be, let's say, insecurities or self-sabotaging behavior which is cropping up with respect to your long-term vision for the future, your family dynamics, family relationships, and also your living circumstances as well. So there could be fears that come up surrounding these topics, or it could just be that there are, you know, self-sabotaging behavior at play that you are exhibiting, which is connected to these. So you may be really reconsidering, or just considering in general, your personal input into these relationships and these let's say relationship dynamics in general. And on a positive level, this can see you guys being able to escape to somewhere where you've got a lot of peace and quiet. So you may be spending time in quiet solitude. You may be having powerful realizations about your future, and you know what you are envisioning for yourself. This can see you feeling divinely inspired to be creative around the 1st of January, or even now, you know, plus or minus a few days. And ultimately, any kind of let's say subconscious behavior which has been running like a program on your laptop in the background, you're going to have this awareness of that, and you'll be like, you know, I need to close these tabs. Like I need to process these emotions. Okay, unprocessed emotions, especially with respect to, you know, relationship dynamics of all kinds, will be the name of the game with this particular conjunction. So, you know, it's playing out on a psychological level. It doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, playing out in the physical. You could even just be dreaming about this stuff, or having flashbacks to certain events from your childhood. I would really recommend meditation around this period of time. I think that would be very beneficial and helpful for you. Now, Mars will be retrograde in Gemini in your 5th house until the 12th of January. Okay, so that's between 25 degrees going back to 8 degrees. Aquarians between 8 and 25 degrees will be feeling it the most strongly. And ultimately for you Aquarians, you know, there is this big focus on dating, romance, your sex life, what brings you joy, happiness, passion, pleasure. The 5th house is also children, and it's also owning your own business, and it rules over confidence as well. So there can be this real focus on these matters for you. You may have been experiencing discord within your romantic connection with another person, and you know, this is make it or break it territory for relationships that have seemingly been on rocky ground. Whether this is you calling the shots or the other person, it's really going to depend on your own set of personal circumstances. But just know that Mars is trining you as an Aquarius. So this is like whatever direction a romantic connection goes in, you know, somehow you're going to have the courage and the willpower necessary to, you know, basically carry out these decisions and do so in a way which is beneficial to you no matter what. So ultimately, this can see you, for some of you, putting in a lot of effort into cultivating more happiness and joy, following your passions and hobbies. If you own your own business, this is a very busy time, possibly trying time for you, or maybe you're just finishing off some kind of exciting creative project. And Mercury is going to be retrograde as well for an overlap period. So Mercury will be retrograde from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January in your 12th house. And we do have that overlap period from, well, today through till the 12th of January. So first of all, Mercury retrograde in your 12th house and ruling over your 5th house and your 8th house can see you basically figuring out the ways in which you may have been ignoring certain things, like not wanting to see them, because the 12th house is all about escapism. But again, as I said before, it is connected to self-sabotaging behavior and also martyrdom. Not that I'm calling you guys, you know, martyrs at all. It's just like, in what ways have you not been advocating for your best interests with respect to relationships, dating, being the I suppose, captain of your own ship when it comes to focusing on what brings you happiness, joy, and pleasure, and basically, you know, pursuing things that bring you happiness. This is what Mercury ruling over the 5th house is all about. It's a reconsideration of those things, and maybe this can see you actually getting back to those things. A Mercury retrograde in the 12th house and ruling over the 5th house is enormously beneficial for unblocking creative blockages, for want of a better word. So this can see you finishing off projects, going back to old creative projects, feeling more divinely inspired. This can see you getting back into music. This can see you going on some sort of retreat or just spending time by yourself, which can be very helpful and very clarifying. Now, with the full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees on the 6th of January, you know, this is going to be taking place in your 6th house. So this can see you basically coming into information or knowledge surrounding any part of your life that has been out of balance, whether this has been affecting you at work, a health matter. So you could be having a very clarifying conversation with a health practitioner or with a doctor, receiving important information about this issue. You could be putting to bed or putting to rest some kind of health problem. So you could be overcoming a health issue. And if there's been some kind of project or milestone that you needed to achieve with work, you can successfully be completing this around the 6th of January, plus or minus a couple of weeks. And any sort of relationship, especially connected to family, because it's Cancer, or your property and living circumstances, again, being Cancer, this can be overcome, you know, this can be sorted out. So essentially, a full moon in the 6th house can indicate that there is a situation which reaches some kind of climax, and, you know, this could be a little bit unsteadying or discombobulating, but ultimately there is greater success that can come through with this once you realize that, you know, this situation needed to be focused on and exposed and really looked at. Now, lastly, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius, and this will be taking place at 1 degrees, okay? And this is in your 1st house. So at the same time, we're also going to have Venus being conjunct Saturn. Venus conjunct Saturn at 23 and 24 degrees Aquarius. And the next day, they'll be making their actual proper conjunction. So this really is affecting all Aquarians, but especially those around 0 to 5 degrees, 0 to 6 degrees, and those between about 18 to 29 degrees. Just give me a sec, guys, running out of steam. So a new moon, just generally speaking, indicates a new chapter starting in our lives or a new cycle starting in our lives. So this can be a very exciting time where it feels like the world is full of possibilities. The world is your oyster. Because we do have this new moon squaring Uranus and Taurus in the 4th house, this does indicate that there is some sort of unexpected element to this new chapter that is coming through. But ultimately, the new moon is trine Mars in Gemini in your 5th house. So again, this is like you have the energy, you have the courage, you'll have the motivation, and also Mars rules over strategy. So you'll be able to employ the right strategy for you to navigate this new chapter that is starting in your life. And a new moon in your 1st house can play out in a number of different ways. If you're an Aquarius sun, this is like a new work opportunity, a new work responsibility, maybe starting your own business or having an idea for your existing business, or a new type of creative self-expression that is coming through. If you're an Aquarius moon, this can indicate changes within a relationship, whether this is a new relationship starting, a higher level of commitment in your existing relationship, so taking your relationship to the next level, whatever that may be. And also, if you are an Aquarius moon, this can indicate a new set of living circumstances which are coming through, whether this is buying, selling, renovating, you're moving in with someone, or you're moving somewhere new, or someone is moving in with you. Again, if you're an Aquarius moon, this can indicate a new chapter starting with your family, especially with your mother. So something new could be starting in her life, or it could be a new start for your child if you have children. And for others of you, I just forgot. Wait for it. No, it's gone, sorry. Anyway, Aquarius moons, it's all about property, living circumstances, family dynamics, and relationships. So new romantic relationship, or, if you are in an existing romantic relationship already, with the Venus-Saturn conjunction, this can indicate a separation for a select few of you. Now, if you are an Aquarius ascendant or Aquarius rising, this new moon in Aquarius can impact you on all those different levels that I have just mentioned. So there's no exclusion there. And the reason I'm saying that is because the trine to Mars in Gemini is in your 5th house, which ties in your own business, romantic connections, and relationships. And then the square to Uranus in Taurus ties in that family element and those living circumstances and those property circumstances that I mentioned. And again, that is on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, plus or minus 1 or 2 weeks. So Aquarius, if you enjoyed this horoscope, please give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. And now, lastly, I'm going to move on to Pisces. Thank you so much, Pisces, for being so patient. Let's just get straight into it. On the 1st of January, Venus will be conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees in Capricorn in your 11th house. So ultimately, the 11th house rules over your long-term goals and dreams. It rules over friendships, networking, groups and communities. It also rules over new inventions, innovations, and social media. And it is a house which is connected to passive forms of income or residual income. So think like rents, royalties, and dividends. So with this conjunction taking place in your 11th house, first we need to look at what Venus rules over in your chart. So for you guys, Pisces, Venus rules over your 3rd house, which is Taurus. And it also rules over your 8th house, which is Libra. And then we've got Pluto ruling over your 5th house, okay, which is, Pluto ruling over your 9th house, which is Scorpio. So ultimately, this can see you receiving resources from a friend. This could be emotional support, this could be financial support, or this could be some sort of practical advice. And I'm saying that because the third house is connected to friendships, so is the 11th house. And the third house is like information, documentation, paperwork, education, you know, these practical elements that you can apply to your situation. But then with it ruling over your 8th house, this is like access to someone else's resources. So this could be financial, this could be emotional support for some of you. You know, this could be an important groundbreaking conversation that you have with a friend, or even if it's not with a friend, this could even be with like an astrologer, a tarot reader, or a psychologist or a healer of some sort. And this helps you with your long-term goals and dreams. And also there could be this focus on your residual form of income or passive form of income with respect to how you have set up your mutual resources with another person, or your contracts surrounding these arrangements. So for example, a rental contract and the money that is brought in, and how this is connecting to your mutual resources. And you know, this could obviously be a big focus for you, and for others of you, you could be the one who is lending support to a friend, or lending emotional or financial support to a friend. And also because the third house is siblings and the 11th house rules over older siblings, your older sibling could be indicated somehow in whatever is taking place around the 1st of January. And lastly, with this transit, you could just be deciding that you want to walk away from a certain group or a community. And for others of you, you could be wanting a deeper level of commitment. You know, you could be wanting to bond further with a group or a community. So obviously this could play out on a few different levels. Now, Mars will be retrograde in your 4th house till the 12th of January, and that is between 25 going back to 8 degrees. So the Pisceans who will be the most impacted will be those between 8 and 25 degrees. And essentially this can see you making some really significant changes to your family dynamics, whether this is your relationship with your immediate family, with your with people that you live with, flatmates, housemates, changes to your living circumstances as well. And because Mars has been retrograde since the end of October, it's probably not going to be new information that is coming to light between now and the 12th of January, but there could be some very, very important decisions that are being made with respect to your plans for your set of living circumstances. And for others of you, you could be looking at family planning as well. Some people may be arguing with certain family members, or if there's been like a long-standing separation, this can see you actually reconciling with a family member, getting on the same page, especially on or after the 12th of January. Doesn't need to be though, it could come through earlier just because Mercury's retrograde as well, so that clarification could be coming through, but maybe, you know, it's going to take you some time from mid-January onwards to really settle back into that relationship. And you know, I would just advise you to be extra gentle with yourselves and with your family around this period of time, because that square to you as a Pisces sun, moon, or rising can indicate I want to say emotional inflammation, okay? So emotional insecurities could be flaring up around this time, but just really pay attention to what triggers you, because this is something that you may want to do some healing around. And this certainly could be a healing time for you as well. And also just be careful for accidents in the home. You know, it doesn't need to be like a big deal. It could honestly be like stubbing your toe. So I don't want you guys to freak out, but just slow down in the home, and just be very careful if you're using like power tools. But you know, that's not an accident that I said power drills. If you need to use a drill, be extra careful around the first 2 weeks of January. Now, Mercury will be retrograde in Capricorn from the 29th of December through till the 18th of January. Mercury rules over friends, it rules over siblings, and it rules over communications. And again, Mercury in the 11th house rules over these older siblings. So you could be reconnecting with an older sibling or getting onto the same page within that relationship. Now, that aside, this can see you really reconsidering your long-term goals, your dreams for the future, how you are going about those. If you have a large-scale or long-term project that you are working on, there may be some kind of delay that is happening there, or let's say a pivot that needs to take place, or you just need to change the deadlines or change certain time frames that you had agreed to. So it's just like a revising of your long-term goals or dreams. This can see you reconciling with friends. This can see you maybe attending like a reunion with school friends, or just getting back in touch with people that you haven't spoken to in ages. Mercury retrogrades in the 11th house can be really fun for that, and just, connecting to people that you have simply lost touch with. You may be wanting to reopen, or I should say, I've forgotten the word. Anyway, you may want to restart your social media account. Reactivate. Thank you. Reactivate is the word I'm looking for. You may want to reactivate a social media account that you had left dormant. Doesn't matter what one that was. And same can be said for long-term goals and projects that you had pushed the pause button on. This can see you moving forwards with those and knowing, how to do things differently, or just having like newfound inspiration to pursue those. Of course, with the combination of Mars and Mercury both being retrograde for an overlap period between, 29th of December and the 12th of January, there is this big focus on the 4th house and the 11th house. So family, property, living circumstances, emotional security, plus friendships, long-term goals, plans. Rent money is coming through here as well, passive forms of income connected to maybe a family business, or let's say a rental. These themes could be combined, and this could be what you're focusing on. And again, I'd be looking at relationships with older siblings. That seems to be a real theme that's coming through this month. Now, on the 6th of January, there will be a full moon in Cancer at 16 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 5th house. Okay, so the 5th house is all about dating, romance, your love life, owning your own business, children, what brings you joy, passions of yours, hobbies, sports as well. And the 5th house is like connected to fun, vacations, and your creative self-expression. So full moons can indicate the end of a chapter, okay, or something reaching its peak. So if you own your own business, you may be releasing something out into the world. You could have finished a creative project. Maybe you're launching something new with respect to your business. You may be closing down your business, whether this is permanently or temporarily. And for others of you, you could be falling pregnant. You could be taking an existing relationship to the next level. An existing relationship that you are in may be reaching some kind of peak or climax. Worst case scenario is a breakup. Best case scenario is that you have a very clarifying conversation with your significant other. And with the full moon being in the 5th house, if you have children, this can indicate that there is a chapter or a cycle in their life that is coming to a close around the 6th of January, plus or minus a couple of weeks. Ultimately, I love a good full moon in the 5th house because it can represent finishing a creative project, taking it through to that next level and achieving like a sense of satisfaction or completion with a job well done. And moving along though, on the 21st or the 22nd of January, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 12th house. So this is a very psychological new moon, just given that it is in the 12th house. But the 12th house rules over things like spirituality, the occult, our connection to the divine or to other realms. It is also connected to foreign, faraway places, retreats, escapism. Shadow side, 12th house is connected to self-sabotaging behavior, a victim mindset, martyrdom, addictions, fears, and insecurities. So having a new moon in the 12th house could indicate that there is a new chapter that is taking place in one of those areas. So you could be seeing an astrologer, a healer of sorts, a psychic medium, a clairvoyant. You could be engaging in maybe studying one of those things as well. So with this new moon in Aquarius, even though it's at 1 degrees, Venus and Saturn will be conjunct at 23 and 24 degrees Aquarius, and they'll make their actual conjunction the next day. So this can see you actually starting up some kind of new creative project or new creative pursuit, whether this is writing poetry, creative writing, something artistic, or this could be connected to music as well, because the 12th house rules over all of those things. So you could have an exciting new idea for a new piece of art or music that you want to compose or to create. And with the 12th house, this could see you learning astrology, learning tarot, having an experience of probably the first kind, because it is a new moon. So your first experience with a tarot reader or a psychic medium, or you're learning about these things like I mentioned earlier. And certainly this would be a time for addressing any forms of, let's say, insecurities, fears, any sort of self-sabotaging behavior that you've been experiencing, or anything which has been inhibiting you in some way, shape, or form. And so Pisces, that's all I have for you for January 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to purchase your 2023 yearly horoscope, you can do so by clicking on the link in the description box below. Thank you so much for sticking around. For those of you who watched this live, enjoy your month ahead, and I will see you guys in February.